Chapter 428. Alchemy Venerable asks for advice. After Louis arrived at the Alchemist Association headquarters, she attracted the attention of the Pill Tower within a few days. She was young but displayed unprecedented talent in alchemy. Even so, there were genius alchemists from all over the world in the Alchemist Association. However, many people soon realized that the elixirs refined by Louis were very different from the elixirs refined by the current generation. Whether it was the degree of purity or the medicinal effect, they were far superior to the original elixirs. After some investigation, everyone clearly realized that the elixirs refined by Louis were similar to the elixirs obtained by the 5 great divine realms. Especially the cracks on them. Therefore, the Alchemist Association valued Louis especially and directly nurtured her as a Tao disciple of the Alchemist Association. Everyone also learned about Longchen from Louis. This was also why the Alchemist Association personally went to the Jiuyin ancient people to meet Longchen. However, now that Longchen saw Louis in the Alchemist Association like the moon surrounded by stars, he felt more at ease. One after another, fiery eyes stared at Louis and finally landed on Longchen. These handsome men and beautiful women were the younger generation of the Alchemist Association with decent alchemy skills. Even their backgrounds were quite good. Is this the master that he mentioned? Why is he so young? A handsome man holding a feather fan had a puzzled look on his face. The people around them were also quite puzzled. Many of them admired Louis's alchemy skills. Today, when they heard that Louis's master was here, they were all excited and followed him. However, the moment they saw Longchen, they were all puzzled. In their hearts, Louis's master should at least be an alchemist with a title. At the very least, he should be a senior with a white beard who had made great achievements in alchemy. However, they never would have thought that Longchen's master was this young man who was even younger than them by a few years. Longchen looked at everyone's puzzled expressions and could not help but smile helplessly. Order some food and wine, and invite your friends to sit down and have a chat. Longchen said casually. Qing Xian immediately understood. He went downstairs to order a few tables of dishes and wine, and led everyone to sit down. Louis Yi was like a little sister next door, telling Longchen everything that happened after she entered the alchemist guild. Finally, one of the many young alchemist disciples couldn't help but ask, "Are you really an alchemist? Was Yi's understanding of alchemy really taught by you? Little brother, you don't look as old as me. How could you be Yi's master? Is there a mistake?" Everyone was discussing animatedly, but they didn't seem to have any malicious intent. They just couldn't believe that Longchen was Louis's master at such a young age. Seeing that they had no ill intentions, Longchen opened his mouth, intending to give them a few pointers and explain. But before he finished speaking, he saw 3 old men with extraordinary auras outside the door striding in. Everyone saluted them as they passed. The 3 of them strode in with their heads held high. Their white beards brushed their faces, but they also had the momentum of swallowing mountains and rivers. The 3 of them walked straight to the hotel where everyone was. Many alchemist disciples suddenly showed a look of reverence. They stood up from the dining table and bowed to the 3 old men. Greetings, revered Qing. Greetings, revered Yu. Greetings, revered blood. Everyone's greetings made Ao Tsungqiang, Qing Xian, and the others stunned. There were actually 3 god-level alchemists. People from all directions on the street were approaching quickly. It was extremely rare for 3 revered alchemists to appear at the same time. However, after the 3 alchemist venerables stepped into the hotel, they said in a deep voice, "Who is Mr. Longchen?" As soon as this person's voice fell, everyone around looked at each other and looked around. They didn't know who these 3 alchemist venerables were looking for. Only Ao Tsungqiang, Yi Hailan, Louis Yi, and the others were stunned. Their eyes fell on Longchen. These 3 alchemist venerables were actually looking for Longchen. Longchen stared at the 3 people at this moment and couldn't help but be stunned. After a while, he couldn't help but smile bitterly and say helplessly, "I am Longchen." He had a date with Yunmei to teach 3 people who were proficient in arrays how to refine pills, but he never thought that Yunmei would be so thick-skinned. She actually directly found 3 revered alchemists. After today, Longchen learned another thing, and that was to not negotiate with women, let alone with a businesswoman. The 3-faced alchemist, everyone present, and even the crowd outside the door were all dumbfounded. The person whom the 3 revered alchemists called Mr. was actually this young man in front of them. Qing Zun, who was dressed in blue and had a face like an old scholar, stared at Longchen and frowned. He said, "Who are you? At this time, we don't have time to joke with you." "Who is Longchen?" "We were ordered to come to ask Mr. Longchen for advice on refining pills." "Please come out and meet us, Mr. Longchen." Seeing that these people were already a little impatient, Longchen smiled bitterly. He secretly thought that Yunmei must have done this deliberately. She didn't tell these people what he looked like at all. "The 3 of you don't need to ask anymore. I am Longchen. I was also personally found by your president to guide you in refining pills." Longchen shook his head and said. The 3 alchemist venerables stared at each other with a speechless look on their faces. Lu Yi and Yan Li stood up at this time and bowed. 3 elders alchemist venerables, this person is really Longchen. He is also Yi's master. At this moment, there was an uproar. The noise of the crowd on the street was overwhelming. 3 alchemist venerables actually wanted to ask a young man for advice on alchemy. This was simply unheard of. Many disciples who came with Lu Yi also looked at Longchen. Just now, they were still wondering whether Longchen was a real alchemist. Now, the 3 alchemist venerables actually came to ask for advice. After a short moment of being stunned, the 3 alchemist venerables' faces were gloomy, but they didn't dare to violate the orders from above. They walked to Longchen and said, "Boy, just say a few words. We will go back and report. What can a young boy like you give us?" They all said that the pills refined by Lu Yi are different. The 3 of us have just come out of seclusion and haven't seen them. Now that we have seen her master directly, I think it might not be anything. I think everyone should just deal with it. Boy, we won't make things difficult for you. When Longchen heard everyone's words, he secretly thought that Yunmei was deliberately messing with him. However, if he wanted to make this deal, teaching the 3 of them how to refine pills was the most important thing. Chapter 429. Instructing pill refinement. The 3 of you, come with me. This sentence almost choked everyone to death. These are 3 venerated pill masters. Do you really think you're some big shot? The people around couldn't help but ridicule. The 3 venerated pill masters' faces also darkened. Why do you have to put on an act? I think there must be some misunderstanding. You and I can talk casually and go back to report. Longchen shook his head. Seeing that more and more people were gathering around, it wasn't a good idea to go first. His divine sense immediately enveloped the 3 of them. After a while, he said to the venerated pill master, "You said that the 3 of you just came out of seclusion." "I don't think so." "You came out yesterday, right?" The 3 of them frowned and stared at Longchen, not knowing what he was going to say. "After you came out of seclusion yesterday, you exchanged pills and took them. The clear water purple jade pill you refined, the one you refined was," Longchen spoke word by word, clearly describing the pills the 3 of them refined and the time they took the pills. He even described the medicinal properties of the pills clearly. The 3 of them were instantly petrified. One of them even asked, "How do you know so much?" When the people around saw the venerated pill master's reaction, there was an uproar. They were shocked by Longchen. Longchen was a little too excited. He said to the 3 of them, "The pills you refined yesterday still have some flaws. I can improve them. But it's too inconvenient to talk here." Longchen used his powerful divine sense and the inheritance of alchemy. He could clearly analyze the pills they refined based on the smell of their bodies and the many remnants. Especially since the medicinal properties of the pills they took had not completely taken effect. As the 3 of them swallowed and spat, he could almost determine the medicinal properties and names of the pills they refined. In fact, if he paid attention, he could even clearly guess the number of spiritual herbs used. The 3 of them looked at each other. Thinking that they came here under orders, if Longchen could really solve their doubts, it would be for the best. If they couldn't, they could quickly return to report on their mission. Thinking of this, the three of them immediately agreed. They directly said to Longchen, "Then why don't you accompany us to the first Pill Cauldron Mountain to take a look? That place is more suitable for discussing the Tao of alchemy." Longchen nodded and followed closely behind the three of them as they walked outside. Ascension and the others followed closely behind, but when they reached the bottom of the first Pill Cauldron Mountain, they were stopped. It turned out that only people from the Alchemist Guild were allowed to enter the cauldron. Ascension, Yi Hailan, and Qing Xian were blocked outside. Many other people who came to watch the show were also blocked outside helplessly. On the other hand, Lu Yi and the other young disciples of the Alchemist Guild followed behind them and stepped onto Cauldron Mountain. They walked all the way to Cauldron Mountain. When they were 2/3 of the way there, they saw countless square platforms less than 100 meters wide. They were still surrounded by towering trees. As such, no one could see the platforms from the outside. Many pill cauldrons were erected on the platforms. Someone was refining pills. The arrival of the three alchemist venerables and many young disciples behind them still attracted many people's attention. They all bowed to the three of them. In the end, the three alchemist venerables brought Longchen and the others to a larger platform. The few people beside Louis couldn't help but ask, "Yi, is this person really your master? Is his alchemy really so powerful that he can teach alchemist venerables?" Louis looked proud. She stared at Longchen and said excitedly, "Master is the most powerful person in Yi's heart. The pills he refined are the most perfect ones Yi has ever seen." Everyone looked at Longchen and the three alchemist venerables excitedly. The three alchemist venerables frowned and looked at Longchen. They didn't care about Louis and the others. Longchen spoke first, "This is a deal between me and the Alchemist Guild president. The three of you are the people I want to teach. If you have any questions, you can go and ask." Even so. However, the three of them didn't seem to be willing to ask. They replied in a deep voice, "The president is very busy every day. I'm afraid he won't see us for this matter." Longchen sighed. Hearing their words, if he guessed correctly, the Alchemist Guild should have another president on the surface. The Yun family, where Yun Mei-er, who met him yesterday, was the real mastermind behind the Alchemist Guild. Compared to the Yun family, the Alchemist Guild was just a business for them to make money. "You don't have to be like this. In terms of alchemy, I may not be as good as you, but I can guide you to refine higher quality pills," Longchen said. The three alchemist venerables shook their heads and laughed. They didn't care whether it was true or not. At this moment, since they were sure that Longchen was the person mentioned above, they could only follow the order to learn alchemy. However, the three of them were a little absent-minded. Just as Longchen said. They were alchemist venerables, and Longchen's alchemy cultivation was even worse than theirs. Naturally, they didn't have much hope that they could learn anything from Longchen. Seeing their attitude, Longchen wasn't angry. After all, the three of them were alchemist venerables. It was natural for them to be a little arrogant. He just needed to teach them the method of refining the vein-splitting technique. Of course, Longchen couldn't teach them everything. "What kind of pills are the three of you best at refining? Each of you will refine 3 types in front of me." Longchen ordered the three of them. The three of them looked at Longchen's nonchalant appearance and were angry. Since they became alchemist venerables, they had never been ordered like this. "Okay, don't waste time. Hurry up and work with this person for a day. Tomorrow, report to the Pill Pagoda. It's just a formality. Let's do it. This person's guest just now was a little strange. Let's treat it as an eye-opener for these juniors today." The three of them also compromised. They directly waved their hands and summoned a huge cauldron to start refining pills. The three of them were worthy of being alchemist venerables. With a raise of their hands, one could see ethereal fire appearing out of thin air and spirit herbs dancing at their fingertips. Lu Yi and the others were even more excited. It was a rare opportunity to watch 3 alchemist venerables refine pills at such a close distance. However, after dozens of breaths, Long Chen's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Finally, he coldly snorted and shouted at the three of them, "Stop! What are you doing? Don't you understand what I said? I want each of you to refine 3 types of pills that you are best at." The spectating disciples were stunned. No one thought that Long Chen would actually dare to directly shout at 3 alchemist venerables to refine pills. The 3 alchemist venerables' faces turned cold for a moment. Long Chen directly ignored their faces and said in a deep voice, "If you have this attitude, you can go back to the president and tell him that I can't hand you over. Otherwise, don't waste my time here. Each of you will refine 3 types of pills that you are best at. I will teach you how to improve the quality of the pills." Chapter 430. Alchemy Venerables. Convinced as alchemy venerables, the 3 of them had lofty statuses even in the Alchemist Guild. But now, they were being ordered around by a brat like Long Chen. Naturally, they were very displeased. But the few of them had no choice because of the authority of the guild president. Another alchemy venerable also snorted coldly and said, "If he wants to watch us refine, then let's just refine. Why bother with him?" The 3 of them looked at each other, and a hint of playfulness appeared in their eyes. The flames above the 3 pill cauldrons instantly expanded to 1,000 feet. Streaks of virtual fire rose and fell one after another. The divine light around the 3 of them swept out like a tide. The expressions of many alchemists on Pill Cauldron Mountain also changed instantly, and they looked over from afar. Under the divine light, stalks of spirit herbs seemed to come alive, intertwining and dancing, and finally falling toward the pill cauldrons with a unique rhythm. Their speed was extremely fast, dazzling everyone's eyes. Lu Yi and the many young disciples around could not help but have a look of longing, obviously also impressed by the 3's techniques. Among them, a slightly older man even said excitedly, "The 3 alchemy venerables are going to refine divine tier medicinal pills. Divine tier medicinal pills, don't be noisy, watch carefully. Although we can't see anything about the refinement of divine tier medicinal pills, we can try to figure out the techniques and fire controlling techniques, etc." Everyone was extremely excited, staring at the 3 alchemy venerables. Many alchemists on other platforms also could not help but have a look of reverence, watching from afar. The 3 of them were refining the medicinal pills they were most familiar with, so their speed was very fast. But they were refining divine tier medicinal pills after all. When the 3 of them all stopped, it was already night. When night fell, the divine light above the entire Pill Cauldron Mountain was like a waterfall, illuminating the entire mountain range. Looking over, the divine light emitted by the 9 Cauldron Mountains was like stars surrounding the moon, illuminating the ivory tower like a divine land. The lights were bright. The 3 divine tier alchemists also finally stopped. Under everyone's gaze, the 3 of them opened their pill cauldrons at the same time. The people around were in an uproar. The 3 of them refined a total of 9 divine tier medicinal pills, but they came out of the cauldron at the same time. There were actually 3 different medicinal pills in each human cauldron. In other words, they refined 3 types of pills at the same time. The corners of the 3 god-level alchemists' mouths curled into a playful smile. Refining 3 kinds of elixirs in one furnace, this refining method was something that only a few people in the Alchemist Guild could accomplish. The relationship between the 3 of them was pretty good. Most of the time, they would communicate with each other when it came to alchemy. This kind of alchemy technique was also discovered through their mutual reference. One of the alchemy venerables smiled at Long Chen and said, "Why aren't you speaking? Why don't you say it's just average?" The other 2 also sneered and looked toward Long Chen. The reason why they refined the pills in such a way was to unwittingly increase the difficulty of distinguishing between the pills. There were 3 types of pills in one cauldron, so who would know which spirit herb was on which pill? In this way, the difficulty of distinguishing between the 2 would increase by several times. The many disciples who were watching with Lu Yi were amazed by the 3 divine-grade alchemists' miraculous techniques. Immediately, they stared at Long Chen and couldn't help shaking their heads. Not to mention Long Chen, even the other divine-grade alchemists wouldn't be able to see through this kind of technique. When everyone looked at Long Chen Long Chen couldn't help but reveal a disdainful smile. He slowly walked up to the three and said in a deep voice, "Ignorant." As soon as he said this, the people around him stiffened. The three divine great alchemists were immediately furious. If it weren't for the orders from above, they would have slapped Long Chen to death. "Do you know what kind of pills we refined? If you can't tell, then don't talk nonsense here. Ignorant child. What gives you the confidence to judge the three of us like this? When the three of us became famous, you were still drinking milk somewhere." No matter how good-tempered the three alchemy venerables were, they couldn't help but burst out shouting now. The three of them were famous, but now they were scolded in front of everyone. This was simply an insult to them. The people around them were worried for Long Chen. Looking at the three alchemy venerables who were a little angry, they were terrified. However, Long Chen's expression didn't change. He walked up to the so-called venerables and said in a deep voice, "Refining pills from the beginning of the medicine, a total of 7 hours and 20 minutes. Refining pills are life-generating source pill, purple jade spirit revitalizing pill, and jade breaking bone tempering pill. Among them, the life-generating source pill can increase the comprehension of condensing origin. The 3 types of pills share 372 spiritual herbs and 79 auxiliary materials." Long Chen spoke without thinking. It was as if he had a deep understanding of the situation. He knew everything clearly. Venerable's eyes gradually widened. He stared at Long Chen and his jaw almost fell to the ground. What Long Chen said was actually the same as his refining method. After a long while, Long Chen stopped talking. The surrounding onlookers were also stunned on the spot. Their eyes fell on revered Qing in unison. The other 2 alchemy venerables also walked up in a hurry and asked venerables, Is this kid right? Is this person talking nonsense? Even though he got the names of these 3 pills right, but the ingredients used and the spirit herbs used, even the 2 of us don't know about them. How could he possibly tell? The 2 of them couldn't believe that Long Chen could know the refining method of the pills clearly just by watching from the side. Long Chen's mouth was still wearing a smile. With the inheritance of alchemy and the divine consciousness of a dominator, he knew far more than that. As expected. After being stunned for a moment, esteemed Qing took a deep breath and looked at Long Chen with a serious expression. He then looked at the 2 alchemy exalts beside him and said, "What he said is correct. Perhaps we were too rash this time. The president gave the order personally. It seems that he's right. This person's alchemy skills are far above us." Wow! The other 2 alchemy venerables were stunned when they heard what venerables said. They turned around and stared at Long Chen in disbelief. One of them even lost his voice and said, "You mean, this kid's understanding of alchemy is better than the 3 of us?" The person shook his head fiercely and took 2 steps to Long Chen. He said in a deep voice, "I don't believe you can guess everything correctly. In our refining method." Everyone's eyes fell on Long Chen again. The grade of the pill you refined is slightly lower than Venerable's Qing's. It's called. Long Chen didn't even move as he continued to speak eloquently. As his voice faded, the 2 alchemy venerables' faces changed gradually. For a moment, only the voice of Long Chen lecturing the 3 alchemy venerables was left. After a long while, the 3 of them were silent and stared at Long Chen. Phew. Chapter 431. The last stop. The 3 pill venerables' attitude towards Long Chen had a complete change, causing the people around them to sigh. However, everyone was clear in their hearts that Long Chen's words just now were frightening. 3 kinds of medicinal pills in 1 furnace, 9 kinds of medicinal pills refined by 3 pill venerables were all clearly seen through by him. This was really a little frightening. Seeing the 3 like this, Long Chen nodded slightly and said, "You don't have to be like this. I will help you improve the quality of these medicinal pills, but it's also a deal with your alchemist guild. You just have to listen patiently." The 3 complied and followed behind Long Chen. Seeing that the 3 were no longer as arrogant as they were at the beginning, Long Chen continued, "The first step is that you must refine the medicinal pills separately in the future. You can't use such a trick again. It's flashy but not practical. Some of the medicinal properties of the medicinal pills have already flowed out. It looks fine now, but if you want to take a step forward in your alchemy Tao, it's best to give up this method of refining pills. Longchen kindly reminded them. These people refined many pills in one furnace. It looked like their technique was exquisite, but in reality, it destroyed a trace of medicinal properties. The three nodded one after another, seeming to have a little more trust in Longchen. Seeing them like this, Longchen continued to speak. He explained the relationship between formations and alchemy to them in detail. Fortunately, Unveil did not make things difficult for him in this aspect. Although the three of them were alchemy venerables, their attainments and formations were quite deep. Everyone sat around listening to Longchen's words as if they were intoxicated. They had long forgotten the passage of time. In the blink of an eye, a day and night passed. Many young disciples beside Lu Yi were also full of reverence for Longchen. In this day and night, Longchen's words almost overturned their understanding. It made their understanding of the alchemy Tao suddenly open up. Although they didn't understand the Tao of formations, they had never heard of many of the concepts in Longchen's words. In contrast, the three pill venerables benefited a lot. The three of them were also extremely proficient in the Tao of formations. Now that they heard Longchen's words, the path of alchemy and formation combination was simply a broad path that they had never imagined before. Although they clearly knew that Longchen had taught them the three pill refining methods that they were most proficient in, they were still satisfied with just this. After all, they knew that they weren't really Longchen's disciples. Moreover, it was impossible for them to completely change their alchemy methods with their current attainments in alchemy. It was just like building a house. Once a tall building was built, it would be fine to make some changes to the upper floors. However, if the foundation was shaken, it would backfire and cause everything to go to waste. The three of them used the Longchen method to refine pills again, but this time, it took them a full 3 days. But in these 3 days, every single pill they refined was of a quality that far surpassed the ones they refined before. The most obvious difference was the 4 cracks on the top. As pill venerables, they could tell with a single glance that the quality of these pills had risen by at least 4 levels. A deity-level pill's quality had risen by 4 levels. How terrifying was this? Although I've given you the method, there are many things that you still need to comprehend on your own. This kind of crack can reach a maximum of 9. Only then can it be considered perfect. Seeing the 3 pill venerables like this, Longchen reminded them and turned around to leave with Lu Yi and Yanli. The 3 pill venerables looked at Longchen's back as he descended the mountain and bowed deeply. The one who reached the top was the teacher. When Longchen walked down the mountain, Yi Hailan and Ao Tsungqiang were already waiting here. Qing Xian walked up and said to Longchen, "The Alchemist Guild president has already sent everything over." The person who sent the things said that there are all the spirit herbs that you want. Longchen's brows slightly raised. The spirit herbs that he requested from Yunmei might not be of high quality, but their rarity and medicinal properties were definitely first-class existences. However, it had only been a few days and she had already prepared everything. Longchen secretly thought that the Yun family behind the Alchemist Guild was extremely powerful. Longchen took the storage ring from Qing Xian's hand and said to them, "Then we'll stay here for a few more days. Wait for me to refine these spirit herbs into pills." Everyone stayed in the Alchemist Guild and finally understood why the Alchemist Guild was able to have such prestige in the wasteland. In these few days, everyone's cultivation had made great progress. This place had everything that they needed. From medicinal pills for comprehending the origin source to martial techniques. In the blink of an eye, 20 days had passed. In the first 10 days of these 20 days, Longchen refined a total of 3 types of pills, all of which were 9th grade monarch tier. Not only that, each pill had a total of 9 cracks. Although these pills were all 9th grade monarch tier, their medicinal properties were not inferior to ordinary deity tier pills. They were even superior. In the next 10 days, Longchen consumed all 3 types of pills. However, something that puzzled Longchen happened. Originally, he refined these 3 pills to raise his realm to the 3rd grade of the human sovereign realm. However, his realm did not move at all. On the contrary, his 5 elements azure dragon body seemed to be shackled. The 5 elements azure dragon body complements the 5 elements rules that I condensed at the human sovereign realm and completely completes my dragon soul. Now it seems that if I want to break through again, I must first condense the azure dragon vein's 5th dharma body, the illusory clam dragon. On second thought, Longchen instantly understood. However, his 3 elixirs were not completely useless. They had allowed his 5 elements azure dragon body to reach perfection. Now, he only needed an opportunity to condense the 5th dharma body, the illusory clam dragon. Since he had already obtained the support of Yin Meier from the Alchemist Guild, Longchen had no need to continue staying in the Alchemist Guild. After gathering everyone together, Longchen planned to leave. Lu Yi and Yen Li had also heard many things about Longchen during this period of time. They knew that if they followed Longchen at this moment, it would be counterproductive. Staying in the Alchemist Guild was the best choice. After bidding farewell to Lu Yi and Yen Li, they set off on their journey again. "Young master, where are we going next?" Qin Xian asked as soon as they left the Alchemist Guild. Longchen suddenly sneered and said lightly, "This is also the last stop. The passage to the Forbidden Land, the Forbidden Land of the Haoyu ancient clan." When Ao Tsungqiong and Yi Hailan heard Longchen's words, they were stunned and their faces turned pale. The last time they traveled with Longchen, they had suffered a great loss in the passage to the Forbidden Land. The 2 of them had almost died in it. Now, Longchen was going to the passage to the Forbidden Land again. He was even going to enter the Forbidden Land of the Haoyu ancient clan. Longchen seemed to see everyone's worries. He shook his head and said with a smile, "Don't worry. This time, when we enter the passage to the Forbidden Land, the Haoyu ancient clan will not dare to violate any of the ancient clan treaties again." Chapter 432. Beat a plot at its own game. The crowd didn't know where Longchen's confidence came from. Even though they had complete faith in him, they couldn't help but feel worried. They walked all the way to the Forbidden Passage. However, they did not know that a group of people from the Bright Moon ancient clan was also heading towards them. There were more than a dozen Renhuangs in this group, and their cultivation levels were all quite high. The leader was dressed in black and had a crescent moon behind him. He hissed, "Is there a mistake in the information? That Longchen is really coming here. It can't be wrong." This time, the news came from the Alchemist Guild. Moreover, it came from the mouths of the 2 swordsman clan's 3rd elders. Hearing this, the middle-aged man in black nodded slightly. Everyone stopped at a huge cliff. Then, dozens of array flags appeared in their hands and they began to move. On the other side. After Longchen left the Alchemist Guild, the sword-bearing clan's 3rd elder and Jian Chen followed closely behind him. The 2 of them followed from afar, their faces filled with killing intent. At this moment, 3 days had passed since Longchen left the Alchemist Guild. Longchen and Ao Tsungqiong's group did not slow down at all as they headed straight for the Forbidden Passage. However, Longchen's brows hadn't relaxed since 2 days ago, because he had already discovered the whereabouts of the 3rd elder and Jian Chen of the Swordsman clan. However, the 2 of them didn't make any moves from the beginning to the end. They just hid their figures and followed behind them from afar. Finally, on the 5th day, Longchen stopped in his tracks, and his figure suddenly rushed back. Ao Tsungqiong, Yi Hailan, and the others were at a loss. They had no idea what Longchen was going to do. However, when Longchen had flown 10,000 meters, 2 figures rushed out of the darkness in the distance. Only then did they realize that someone had been following them. Ao Tsungqiong and the others looked at each other and followed closely behind. After an hour of chasing, they surrounded the 3rd elder and Jian Chen. Longchen stared at the 2 of them and said coldly, "A few days ago, I let you go out of respect for the sword-bearing clan. What do the 2 of you plan to do now?" Hearing Longchen's question, he turned to look at Ao Tsungqiong and the others who were glaring at him. The faces of the 3rd elder and Jian Chen were incomparably ashen. They had been following him from afar, but they never thought that they would be discovered by Longchen. The 3rd elder said gloomily, "You go your way and I'll go mine." After hearing his words, Longchen shook his head and said, "Since the 2 of you are willing to follow us, then let's move on together, as soon as he finished speaking, Long Chen's figure suddenly rushed towards the third elder. Ao Tsungcheong, Yi Hailan and the others also quickly made their moves. Each of them had the cultivation of a heaven-defying Dao child, so they easily took down the two in just a few dozen moves. If it wasn't for Long Chen intentionally holding back, they would have already lost their lives. At this moment, the third elder's face was full of fear, and he was filled with regret. He originally only wanted to follow Long Chen and see with his own eyes that he was caught by the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. However, he was discovered by Long Chen first and was caught by him. The two of them were tied up like chickens by Long Chen's origin energy and dragged far behind him. Seeing that Long Chen was moving forward, Jian Chen was already trembling with fear, and his face was full of fear. After a long while, he no longer paid attention to the third elder and directly shouted at Long Chen, "Don't go any further. There's an ambush ahead. The third elder has already informed the Bright Moon Ancient Clan of your route." The Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Hearing these 4 words, Long Chen and the others suddenly stopped in their tracks. A wisp of killing intent flashed across Long Chen's face. He never thought that the third elder of the sword-bearing clan would contact the Bright Moon Ancient Clan because of some enmity between them. When Jian Chen saw the expressions of Long Chen and the others, he was so frightened that he was speechless. However, even so, he knew that he had to say it. Otherwise, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan would not spare their lives if Long Chen went this time. Once they encountered the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, it was very likely that they would be wiped out. Bright Moon Ancient Clan. I'd like to see what means they have. Long Chen sneered as his gaze fell on the third elder of the sword-bearing clan. You can go now. I hope that when you return to the sword-bearing clan, you will speak the truth. I'm afraid the third elder won't be able to return. The origin energy in Long Chen's hand shook as he directly threw Jian Chen out. Jian Chen looked deeply at Long Chen. There was still some lingering fear in his eyes, as if he could not believe that Long Chen would let him go. However, Long Chen left without looking back. After Jian Chen left, the third elder walked in front of everyone. For some reason, his face had turned into Long Chen's appearance, and Long Chen and the others were far away from him. The third elder seemed to be walking uncontrollably, and he walked for another 4 days. The surrounding air gradually became turbid, and the low growls of wild beasts could no longer be heard from the lush mountain range. Long Chen and the others suddenly stopped. They saw Long Chen's fingertips moving rapidly, and lines of formation inscriptions shot out. The third elder sped up and rushed forward. He had just walked a few meters when he saw countless origin energy aurora shooting out from the 4-sided room, instantly shattering his divine soul. At the same time, lines of formation inscriptions began to appear and gradually trapped Long Chen and the others inside. Outside the formation, there were many disciples of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan dressed in black, and a crescent moon was undulating behind them. When they saw that everyone had stopped, but Long Chen was already dead in front of them, they could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Their eyes were full of ridicule. They had set up more than a dozen killing formations here, and each of them had the power to kill a Run Huang. After the previous 2 battles, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had a clear understanding of Long Chen's combat strength. If they wanted to kill Long Chen, the only thing they could rely on was this formation inscriptions. Although you are vigilant, now that Long Chen is dead, it will be much easier to kill you. The leader of the group, a middle-aged man in black, sneered. Use all your strength and force them into the last few layers of the formation inscriptions. When the time comes, they will definitely die. As his voice fell, all the people behind him rushed out in an instant. Each of them had a cultivation at the middle stage of the Runhuang realm, and their combat strength was not weak. However, as soon as they rushed out, the head of the leader of the Runhuang realm was smashed by a sword light in a flash. Ao Tsungcheong and the others did not retreat. Instead, they went forward and charged toward the people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Long Chen's figure gradually changed, revealing his original appearance. His face was full of a sneer, and he said in a cold voice, 10 layers of soul-slaying formation. Your Bright Moon Ancient Clan really thinks highly of me. The moment Long Chen's figure appeared, the people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan suddenly felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Although their combat strength was not weak, they had seen how Long Chen fought with Han Xian before. This time, their core purpose in coming here was to use this formation inscriptions. Chapter 433. Meet again the 10 layers of soul-slaying array. Once one stepped into it, they would be bombarded by boundless power. Even if he didn't die in the first layer, he would be instantly enveloped by the second layer. There were a total of 10 layers, which was extremely terrifying. But now, Long Chen and the others were too vigilant. Although they had killed the leader, the others had only reached the outermost layer of the bewildering formation. They had not entered the killing formation at all. The most important thing was that Long Chen was still alive. Seeing that Long Chen was still alive, the people present instantly felt a chill down their spines. Although they had the advantage in numbers, when they thought of the many people from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan who had died in the previous 2 battles, they no longer had the will to fight. No one would have thought that the moment Long Chen revealed his true appearance, the people who were originally attacking them actually retreated in unison, frantically retreating. In the end, only 2 of the dozen or so people managed to escape with serious injuries. The rest of them had their bodies shattered and their souls captured. You guys wait here. The 10-fold soul-slaying formation is a rare treasure. Long Chen instructed the crowd, and his figure shuttled through the forest. After more than 2 hours, he finally reappeared. At this moment, there were a total of 10 formation flags in his hand. Every single one of them was simple and indescribable, and they revealed an aura that caused one's heart to palpitate. Although this array flag is about to be destroyed, it can still be used a few times. You can't blame me for what happened in the forbidden area of the Hallyu Ancient Clan. Long Chen sneered as he looked at the array flag in his hand. After a short rest, everyone once again embarked on the journey to the forbidden area. Meanwhile, in the main hall of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, the ground in front of the middle-aged patriarch cracked like a net. With a wave of his right hand, 10 jade tablets appeared before being crushed into powder. Failed again. This group of trash, even the 10-layer soul-slaying array was given to them, and they still failed. The middle-aged man's voice was like thunder, his chest rising and falling continuously, and his expression was extremely unsightly. The faces of the elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan below were ashen. Patriarch, you don't have to do this. This Long Chen's combat ability is extraordinary. If we fight to the death, I'm afraid only those at the peak of the Runhuang realm can match him. It won't be easy to take him down in one fell swoop, an elder said in a deep voice. The clan master of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan snorted coldly and took a deep breath to forcefully calm the anger in his chest. Since the appearance of Long Chen, the Taoists and Renhuangs of the Hallyu Ancient Clan had died one after another. This had already caused him to hold back his anger. Then what should we do? Long Chen has been opposing our Bright Moon Ancient Clan. If we don't kill him, how can our Bright Moon Ancient Clan establish itself in the Waste Domain? In the 2 battles, 1,500 Renhuangs of our clan died. Among them, about 500 were from our own clan. Now, our clan has become a joke in the Waste region. Because of Long Chen, our vassal clans, as well as many 2- and 3-star ancient clans, have secretly turned to the other 3 clans. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan's clan master's words were filled with murderous intent. Seeing that none of the elders dared to speak, the sacrificial elder slowly opened his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Aren't Han Qing and the others about to come out of the forbidden area? Let them attack. Now that all the major ancient clans are watching, let the younger generation solve the problem as much as possible." As the sacrificial elder's voice fell, his eyes narrowed again. When the Bright Moon Ancient Clan master heard this, he did not speak for a long time. He seemed to be thinking about something. Then, he asked the sacrificial elder, "They have been sent to that place for 3 years. It was for this divine corpse's secret realm. If we let them attack now, I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate." However, the sacrificial elder still had his eyes closed and did not speak again. After the failure of the ambush on Long Chen, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan seemed to have fallen into a period of peace. Long Chen and his group were also unimpeded. A few days later, they arrived at the Forbidden Area's passageway again. Looking at the spatial fluctuations on all sides of the Forbidden Area's passageway, Long Chen and Yi Heilan's expressions were somewhat sorrowful. That day, they were forced into the underworld here and almost died there. Ascension could not help but ask Long Chen, "Why do you have to enter the Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan? With the clan's hatred for you, if they want to get rid of you in the Forbidden Area, I'm afraid your life will be in danger." Qing Xian and Yi Heilan both looked at Long Chen. They were clearly aware of the dangers involved. Long Chen smiled faintly and said, "Last time, they disregarded the ancient clan's treaty of alliance and sent their human sovereign realm elders to attack us. This time, I'd like to see if they can still do the same." As Long Chen's voice fell, he took the lead and rushed into the Forbidden Area's passageway. As soon as they set foot in, they instantly attracted the attention of several guardian elders outside the passageway. Many of them revealed a look of surprise after seeing the faces of Long Chen and the others. Back then, when Long Chen was driven into the netherworld, they were all present at the scene. Just as Long Chen and the others were about to move forward, 2 human sovereign realm guards of the ancient clan walked toward them. "Oh, I didn't expect all of you to survive. TSK, and this girl as well." The moment Long Chen, Ascension, and Yi Heilan saw these people, their eyes suddenly narrowed. This was not the first time they had met these people. They were from the Eagle clan who had attacked them that day. Long Chen still remembered the scene from that day. It was these 2 people. One of them, a human sovereign, had sneakily attacked them and severely injured Jian Shan and Yi Heilan. Furthermore, he had used a despicable poison. If Long Chen had not entered the Tree God clan and seized the source of life, the 2 of them would have died by now. Long Chen sneered and said coldly, "The heavens are really helping us. I didn't expect to meet the 2 of you here." When the 2 human sovereigns heard Long Chen's words, they snorted coldly. Back then, the 2 of them had led people to besiege and kill Long Chen. In the end, they were scared off by the Dark Star organization and the Alchemist Guild before they could even make a move. In the end, although they had sneakily attacked Long Chen and the others to avoid being punished, they were still demoted to guard the passage of the Forbidden Area for a year. This made them hold a grudge against Long Chen. Long Chen looked at the 2 of them. His expression changed, and a playful smile gradually appeared on his face. "Originally, I wanted to enter the Forbidden Area of the Haoyu Ancient Clan directly. Since I've met the 2 of you, it's not a bad idea to walk around the Forbidden Area of your clans." As Long Chen spoke, his right hand moved and threw out the 4 prohibition orders that he had asked for from Yun Meier. When the 2 of them saw Long Chen's actions, their eyes were full of murderous intent. The human sovereign of the Eagle clan said in a deep voice, "That's great. I'd like to see if you can come out alive." However, he did not notice that not far away, the human sovereigns of the ancient clan, who had been transferred to guard the passage of the Forbidden Area a few days ago, were stunned. There was a hint of pity in their eyes. Chapter 434. Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The news of Long Chen and the rest returning to the passageway of the Forbidden Area spread like wildfire among the various ancient clans. Long Chen's words about entering the Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan also surprised everyone. On the other hand, the Falcon clan directly opened the door to the clan's Forbidden Area and let Long Chen and the other 3 walk in with a sneer. After Long Chen and the others went in, several Runhuang guards of the ancient race could not help but walk up to the Runhuang of the Falcon tribe and say, How can you still laugh? Brother, you're really magnanimous. Do you know what Long Chen's name is in the wasteland?" The Falcon clan member was stunned. He looked around and saw the pitiful and laughable looks on everyone's faces. His heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but ask, "So what? So what if he's powerful? Now that he's entered my clan's Forbidden Area, he can't do as he pleases. My clan's many Taoists and others won't let him do as he pleases." Pucci. A 2-star ancient clan Runhuang could not help but laugh out loud. He had only entered this place a few days ago to guard the passageway to the Forbidden Land. Naturally, he was very familiar with the news from the outside world. After laughing for a while, he stared at the person from the Falcon clan and said with a smile, "This Longchen fought against Han Xian half a month ago. Although he was suppressed in that battle, he did not lose in the end. He even helped Han Xian enter the demonic path and step into the half-saint realm. After that, Han Xian returned to the Bright Moon Ancient clan and killed many of the clan's disciples, causing a great uproar. You haven't heard of these things, right?" Plop. As soon as this person finished speaking, the Falcon clan member actually retreated several dozen steps in succession, and his face instantly became as pale as paper. His entire body trembled as he asked this person, You are talking about Han Xian, the one who was trying to break through to the half-sage realm and had his life force continuously drained away?" Seeing that everyone nodded, the man's legs went soft and he sat down on the ground. His body was already drenched in cold sweat. Han Xian was an outstanding talent among the previous generation of Taoists. He had even attempted to break through to the half-saint realm. If even he couldn't take down Longchen, it was enough to show how terrifying Longchen was. Now that Longchen had entered the Falcon tribe's forbidden area, wouldn't he be like a tiger in a flock of sheep? "Ha, what are you still sitting there for? Hurry up and send a voice transmission to your clansmen. Try your best to evacuate the Taoists in the forbidden area. Otherwise, I think it'll be lucky if even one of them can survive." Many guards who were not affiliated with the Bright Moon Ancient clan stared at this person with a playful look. How could this person dare to hesitate in the slightest? He hurriedly used the voice transmission talisman to send a message to the clan. After only a few hours, the light gate of the Falcon clan's forbidden area opened again. Everyone's gaze instantly landed on Longchen, Yi Hailan, and the other three. However, when the guards of the Eagle clan saw the items in the hands of Longchen and Ao Tsungqiong, their faces turned red and they spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone's gaze immediately became strange. They saw that Longchen and Ao Tsungqiong were actually holding falcons that were enveloped in balls of origin energy. These falcons were covered in divine light, and their eyes were emitting red light. At first glance, one could tell that they were extraordinary. These are the offerings of the Falcon clan. If all of these items are taken out, I'm afraid that the clan will fall into a slump for the next 10 years. The corners of everyone's eyes could not help but twitch. They secretly thought that Longchen's actions had really shaken the foundation of the Falcon clan. However, what Longchen said next shocked everyone. They saw that a strange flame suddenly rushed out from Longchen's right hand. In a flash, the aroma of meat spread throughout the forbidden area's passageway. The offerings of the Ying Falcon tribe had been roasted just like that. "Everyone, today I'll treat you to roast falcons." Longchen sneered. With a move of his right hand, he threw the falcons in front of everyone. At the same time, the voice transmission talisman in the hands of the Falcon clan's human emperor could be heard by everyone. "Who did you let into our clan's forbidden area? All of our Path Chosen's cultivations have been destroyed, and even the physical bodies of several guardian elders have been shattered. Stupid thing, what kind of combat power does Longchen have? How could you let him into our clan's forbidden area? Why don't you go to hell? Even if you violate the covenant, you shouldn't have let him in even if you don't want your life." Longchen's hoarse roars caused everyone to involuntarily feel a chill down their spines. This move of Longchen's was truly ruthless. Many of the affiliated clans of the Bright Moon Ancient clan were also livid. However, they all remembered that sentence in their hearts: even if you violate the covenant and lose your life, you shouldn't let this person enter our clan's forbidden area. The Falcon clan's human emperor stared at Longchen with bloodshot eyes. He said sternly, "Back then, I should have killed you and the people behind you at all costs." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed directly toward Longchen. Streams of origin energy slashed toward Longchen. He knew that after today's incident, even if he returned to his clan, death would await him. When Longchen saw this scene and thought of the situation that day, he did not have the slightest bit of mercy in his heart. The long sword in his right hand slashed out with its scabbard. Divine light suddenly appeared, and the origins of the 5 elements gathered. In less than 10 moves, the person's physical body was shattered, and his spiritual soul was crushed. The Snow Beast clan's elder, who had been standing at the side, could not help but tremble. When he saw Long Chen's combat power, he no longer had a trace of hope in his heart. He regretted it. Why did he sneak attack Long Chen and the others with the Falcon clan's elder? Now, it was too late. Plop. The Snow Beast clan's elder actually knelt in front of Long Chen and then said to Long Chen with a face full of determination, "Today, no matter what, I won't let you enter our clan's forbidden area. We were wrong that day, but the two of them didn't die in the end. I've already returned my life to you." As the elder spoke, his body suddenly exploded, turning into a rain of blood. His spiritual soul was also shattered. Long Chen stared at the elder, snorted, and said coldly, "Let's forget about this matter. Today, I'm here for the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan." Everyone's heart trembled. They secretly thought that Long Chen was really going to enter the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan was completely different from the 2-star and 3-star Ancient Clans. Now, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was probably still waiting for Long Chen to enter their clan's forbidden area. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, everyone watched as Long Chen and the others walked toward the passage of the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Outside the passage of the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, the elder who had ordered to open the netherworld was still standing. When he saw Long Chen, the corners of his mouth could not help but curl into a sneer. He said coldly, "You actually want to enter our clan's forbidden area? How ridiculous. You're really lucky to be able to escape from such a dangerous place like the netherworld." Chapter 435. Interethnic cooperation. The elder of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan sneered. Although he had been guarding the passageway of the forbidden area, he had also heard the news that Long Chen had not died in the underworld. However, he did not expect Long Chen to come again and take the initiative to ask to enter the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. He was not the only one. Many people around him were also puzzled. Given the tense relationship between Long Chen and the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, entering the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was simply asking for trouble. Long Chen was indifferent to the stares of the crowd. He then turned around and said to Yi Hailan, "You met with an accident the last time you went to the Night Sha clan. You should go again this time. Although you have reached the level of human sovereign, there is still something you need here." Yi Hailan did not say a word. After a short moment of hesitation, he took the token from Long Chen. As for Ao Tsuncheong and Qing Xian, he directly sent 2 divine thoughts to them and gave them some instructions. After doing this, Long Chen walked straight to the entrance of the Haoyu Ancient Clan's forbidden area. Ao Tsuncheong frowned slightly and said in a low voice, "Be careful. If this clan violates the agreement again." Before he could finish speaking, a person appeared before everyone like a phantom. Surprisingly, it was the first elder of the Worshipping Sword clan. The Grand Elder interrupted Ao Tsuncheong and took a deep look at the members of the Worshipping Sword clan before he said in a deep voice, "Today, my Worshipping Sword clan would like to see which clan dares to violate the agreement and attack the younger generation. And my Alchemist Guild. And my Dark Star." In the blink of an eye, many Renhuangs of the various ancient clans with high status had gathered in the array formation of the Forbidden Area. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan and many other ancient clans gasped. They had never thought that Long Chen would have the support of so many ancient clans. Moreover, the Alchemist Guild, the Dark Star Organization, and the Swordsman Clan were all top forces in the Wasteland. The other 2- and 3-star ancient clans had most likely stepped forward because of these 3 forces. Ao Tsuncheong could not help but be stunned when he saw this scene. This was especially true when one of Dark Star's upper echelons was among them. But seeing this, he felt a little more at ease. As long as no one from the older generation made a move, with Long Chen's strength, few people from the younger generation could be his match. Upon seeing Long Chen step into the forbidden area of the Haoyu Ancient Clan, the human Emperor Realm Elder of the Haoyu Ancient Clan snorted coldly. Meanwhile, in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, as soon as Long Chen stepped into the forbidden area, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan received the news from the transmission talisman. Not only did the people in the hall not have a trace of worry on their faces, They even revealed cold smiles on their faces. The clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, who was in the lead, ordered in a deep voice, "Evacuate all of our clan members from the Forbidden Area. Then, activate all of the formations in the Forbidden Area and increase the difficulty to the highest level." As soon as the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan finished speaking, an elder immediately responded. Before he left, he turned back and asked, "Have all the 9 new moons been opened? If the moon god's essence is taken away by his clansmen, it will be troublesome. Open all of them. It is impossible for him to get the moon god's essence. Even if he passes all the stages, he will still die in the end. But if he dies under the power of the Forbidden Area, it will save Han Qing and the others the trouble. When the Divine Corpse Realm opens, they will be more useful." Upon hearing the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan's words, the person did not hesitate and walked out of the hall. The sacrificial elder coughed twice and said, "I didn't expect this lad to have the guts to enter the Forbidden Area of our clan. But he can make the Alchemist Guild, the Swordsman Clan, and the Dark Star appear at the same time. He is really not simple." As soon as the sacrificial elder finished speaking, a gray-haired old man beside him was silent for a moment. Then, he said with some worry, "This person was previously involved with the Golden Lion Clan. All of these ancient clans are related to this person. Will they join forces to attack our Bright Moon Ancient Clan?" As soon as he said this, the sacrificial elder sneered out of character. Even the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, who had always been steady, could not help but shake his head. The sacrificial elder replied in a deep voice, "Our clan has stood tall in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan for a long time. We have seen all kinds of storms and waves, but it is not without reason that we have survived until now. Even if the great clans join forces, so what? None of them will dare to really attack our Bright Moon Ancient Clan." The sacrificial elder's words revealed his strong confidence. The old man who said this seemed to feel that his words were inappropriate, so he did not say anything more. He only said indifferently, "I am thinking too much." Not long after, the elder who had just left returned to the hall and said in a deep voice, "The difficulty of the Forbidden Area has been raised to the highest level, but there are still many disciples and other Dao children who have entered our clan who have not yet left. I believe that after receiving the order, they will all be able to return within an hour." As the elder spoke, his right hand drew a huge oval ripple in the air. Inside the ripple was the scene in the Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. At this moment, Longchen had just stepped into the Forbidden Area. The Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was no different from the outside world. There were 9 new moons in the sky, and the entire space was shrouded in moonlight. The entire land was a cold white color, causing people to feel a sense of trepidation out of nowhere. Above the 5 new moons, there were 9 milky white light pillars that connected all directions. Seeing such a scene, Longchen thought of the 9 soldier mountains in the north region Divine Mountain. However, the 9 light pillar passages here were not only connecting passages, but there were also 9 checkpoints. Longchen looked at least 3 of the light pillars and saw that there were already people who were challenging the checkpoints. When he spread out his divine thought, he saw that there were many disciples of various clans fighting with many monsters on the land in all directions. The monsters and formations on the ground here are of average strength. They should be targeting ordinary Dao children. The place I am looking for should be among the 9 new moons. Longchen naturally knew that this trip to the Forbidden Area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan would be difficult. However, he had to come on this trip. This was because if he wanted to completely destroy the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, he had to destroy the clan's secret passage that connected to the heavenly region. Otherwise, none of the ancient clans would dare to touch the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Long Chen's figure flew out, but before he reached the place where the passage to the new moons was connected, Long Chen stopped in his tracks. This was because he found that the disciples of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan were rushing toward the entrance of the Forbidden Area. You can only blame yourselves for being disciples of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. As Long Chen shouted, he rushed out in an instant. A Dao child of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, who had just competed with another disciple for victory, suddenly felt a chill in his abdomen. He, who was about to return to the clan, felt that all his strength had been sucked out. Chapter 436. Smash. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan gave the disciples of the various clans an hour to withdraw. However, at that moment, the many elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan who were watching the scene through the projection of the array formation in the great conference hall were all filled with murderous intent. In less than an hour, the cultivation of all the ordinary Taoists in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had been crippled by Long Chen. Although these people could not be compared to against the Heaven Daozi, they were still considered the mainstays of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. But now, although these people were not dead, they were all crippled. Through the projection, everyone saw that Long Chen had already rushed towards one of the crescent moonlight pillars. From all directions, the other ancient clan members who had entered the Bright Moon Ancient Clan through the passageway of the Forbidden Grounds were all dumbfounded. Long Chen had crippled an ordinary Taoist of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan with a wave of his hand. Seeing this, many of the aboriginals followed closely behind Long Chen and walked towards the first pillar of moonlight. Who is this guy? He has such battle prowess. I wonder which clan he is from. This kind of battle prowess can be considered outstanding even among the ranks of the heaven-defying Tao children. If we follow behind him, we might be able to save a lot of time to reach the first new moon. That being said, didn't you all hear what those Bright Moon Ancient Clan's disciples said? The difficulty of the Forbidden Area's passageway has been raised to the highest level. Many people followed closely behind Long Chen. Looking at the Luna Beast crystal core in their hands, they could not help but smile bitterly. Under normal circumstances, the more Luna Beast crystal cores one had, the better it would be to pass through the moonlight pillar. However, Long Chen did not have a single Luna Beast. He did not kill any Luna Beast here. In other words, Long Chen was about to step into the most difficult first light pillar. When Long Chen stepped into the light pillar, the people who were originally there also turned their heads. There was no lack of Taoists from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan among them. The expressions of the Taoists of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan changed drastically. They had clearly seen what Long Chen had done on the ground just now. Stepping into the light pillar, Long Chen suddenly saw the silhouettes of huge human-shaped demonic beasts in front of him. These human-shaped demonic beasts transformed from illusory to real, which was very strange. The humanoid demonic beast was covered in white scales and emitted a milky white light. There was a crescent moon in between its eyebrows. Long Chen's figure suddenly moved forward, and the five elements' origin energy around him rose and fell one after another. Bang bang bang. One by one, the demonic beasts were blasted into smithereens the moment they pounced out. The disciples behind Long Chen hurriedly followed after seeing this scene, but their hearts were filled with shock. Although the first pillar of light was the easiest to pass through, they had never seen anyone of the younger generation pass through it so quickly. They had actually used origin energy to forcefully blast it open. After a mere 100 breaths, Long Chen stepped into the first new moon in the sky. Above the new moon, he saw a giant tree that seemed to be carved out of white jade. As the giant tree swayed, streaks of white brilliance spread out like a waterfall. As Long Chen approached, there were more than a dozen human-shaped demonic beasts that were more than 1,000 feet tall. Retreat quickly. It seems that the Bright Moon Ancient Clan is serious this time. Such powerful demonic beasts have never appeared here before. This person has crippled all the Taoists of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. I'm afraid he has a grudge against the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. If we continue to follow him, I'm afraid we'll be implicated. After the first pillar of light, such demonic beasts have appeared above the new moon. One can imagine the next 8 pillars. When the demonic beasts that were more than 1,000 feet tall appeared, everyone was shocked and stopped in their tracks. No one followed Long Chen and retreated far away. In the blink of an eye, Long Chen was the only one left on the new moon. His figure was instantly drowned by more than a dozen demonic beasts. The entire new moon shook incessantly. More than a dozen human-shaped demonic beasts moved like phantoms, and the 5 elements' origin energy around Long Chen was torn apart. Strange flame beast, come out. However, following Long Chen's order, flames suddenly soared into the sky. The entire new moon was illuminated in a fiery red color, and a scorching aura spread out. Roar! A series of crackling sounds continuously rang out in the air. Demonic beasts were crushed into powder one after another. Longchen looked at the jade tree swaying in the white moonlight and sneered. Then, the scabbard in his hand forcefully uprooted the tree from the ground. The towering jade tree was forcefully carried on his shoulders. The people below were so shocked that they could not close their mouths when they saw this scene. The few remaining people of the Bright Moon Ancient clan were even more shocked when they saw this scene. However, this was not the end. When Longchen rushed towards the second pillar of light, a black flame shot out from his fingertip and turned the entire passage in New Moon Land into a sea of fire. Longchen carried the huge jade tree on his shoulder and arrived at the second pillar of light like a war god. This time, he did not rush into the pillar of light to face the numerous demonic beasts. Instead, he used the huge jade tree to smash the second new moon. Simple and violent, however, there was an unexpected harvest. The entire second pillar of light was forcefully broken by him. The second new moon in the sky also fell like a jade plate and heavily crashed into the ground. Rumble. A huge sound spread throughout the entire Bright Moon Ancient Clan Forbidden Land, and the ground trembled. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan Forbidden Land had been open for a long time, but no one had ever done such a thing. How was this breaking through? This was simply destroying the entire Forbidden Land. In the main hall of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, everyone, including the clan master, could not help but twitch their faces. Through the projection light screen, they watched Longchen walk step by step to the smashed moon plate and smash many things on it into pieces. This person is simply taking revenge on our Bright Moon Ancient Clan. By doing this, he will not be able to obtain anything. He is deliberately destroying. Should we directly enter the Forbidden Land from the clan and capture this person? If this continues, the Forbidden Land will be in a mess because of him. Everyone shouted angrily. However, they were stopped by the Bright Moon Ancient Clan's clan master with an ashen face. Currently, various factions outside the passage of the Forbidden Land were watching. Once they violated the alliance agreement and attacked Longchen with their clan's older generation, not only would they not be able to kill Longchen, but they would also be attacked by various factions. Let him cause trouble. I want to see how many more trials he can pass. Send an order to Han Qing to wake up. I want this person to stay in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan forever. Bright Moon Ancient Clan Master ordered coldly. Meanwhile, in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan Forbidden Land, Longchen had already reached the fifth pillar of light. The moment he approached the pillar of light, divine light filled the sky and bombarded him. Chapter 437. Power of the heavens within the light pillar. Countless demonic beasts and mechanical beasts were densely packed. However, Longchen only attacked from the outside and did not step inside at all. Just as the elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had said, he had no intention of barging into the forbidden area. No matter how difficult the forbidden area was, he would not barge in personally. Because what he wanted to do was completely destroy this place. Bloodline body, appear. Following Longchen's roar, his entire body actually soared into the air. Against the wind, he expanded and transformed into the body of the five elements Azure Dragon. Its huge body traveled between heaven and earth. When it moved, the five elements gathered, and the weather changed. Bang bang! Longchen's huge tail whistled as it fell towards the moon and the light pillar in the sky. The array was instantly shattered, and the moon disk fell like a meteor. Bang bang bang. Longchen's frenzied bombardment shattered countless arrays within the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Light pillars also began to crumble under his attacks. When the last pillar of light was shattered, the ninth new moon emitted boundless moonlight and forcibly blocked Longchen's bloodline body. Swoosh! Swoosh! At the same time, figures appeared one after another. The five young men with the 6 new moon wheels behind them were suspended in the air by the moonlight. Longchen transformed into a huge dragon. His eyes were filled with coldness as he looked at the few people. This is the aura of the heavenly region. Longchen's body moved again and turned into his human form. His eyes narrowed slightly. This was the purpose of his trip. He wanted to seal the heaven domain passage. The moonlight behind the 5 youths of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan slowly dissipated as they landed 100 meters in front of Long Chen. The leader of the group was a disciple of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. He had green hair and looked extremely sinister. Behind him were 6 crescent moons. "You are very good." Han Qing looked at the forbidden land of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan that had almost turned into ruins. Her voice was filled with murderous intent. Long Chen snorted coldly. He was too lazy to argue with the 5 of them and immediately rushed towards Han Qing. Han Qing's eyes narrowed as he grabbed at the air with his right hand. Rays of moonlight formed a white bone sword. Rumble! After the 2 exchanged blows, they were both sent flying 1,000 meters away. Just as the other 4 were about to charge forward, Han Qing shouted, "You guys stay by the side and watch. Let me see how much my battle prowess has improved over the past few years." Holy technique, Frost Moon. As Han Qing rushed out, a series of attacks were launched at Long Chen. Long Chen could not help but sneer. If the 5 of them had attacked him at the same time, he would have been in a lot of trouble. However, things were much simpler now. Although Long Chen's sword was unable to be unsheathed, it was extremely tough. With his cultivation in the way of the sword, he was able to cast saint techniques with ease. He was evenly matched with Han Qing. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged hundreds of blows. The entire ground had long been destroyed by their attacks. Han Qing's eyes gradually turned solemn. He stared at Long Chen and said, "Such exquisite attainments in the way of the sword. Your battle prowess far exceeds those of the same level. I've underestimated you." As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qing crossed his hands in the air and said coldly, "It's a pity that you can't win today. Heavenly domain power, luminous moon shadow." Following Han Qing's roar, rays of moonlight wrapped around his entire body as if they were solid. Luminous moon sky annihilation. As he clenched his hands in the air toward Long Chen, countless crescent moons appeared out of thin air in all directions. Each of them turned from illusory to solid. The ground turned into powder like tofu. At this moment, the people who had not left had already fled in all directions. Those who came into contact with the crescent moons instantly disintegrated. Long Chen's expression suddenly changed. He couldn't touch this move no matter what. Although this move was still an ordinary saint technique, it contained the power of the heavenly domain. The heavenly domain power was different from the power in the waste realm. Once touched, it would be extremely troublesome. The slightest carelessness could even cause one's physical body to be smashed into pieces. Long Chen leaped up. Seeing that the attack was about to hit him, he suddenly shouted, "Celestial technique, Nirvana sword." Buzz! Long Chen's long sword was surrounded by the 5 elemental origins. As it circulated, it turned into rays of black light that were as black as ink. Wherever this ray of black light passed, the space trembled. Break! Swoosh! 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 The rays of black light rushed out in an instant and shattered the crescent moons in all directions. This person is using a celestial technique with the cultivation of a human sovereign. How did he do it? When did such a freakish Taoist appear in the waste realm? This combat prowess is probably enough to fight a late-stage human sovereign. It's terrifying. Countless people were inexplicably horrified. Even the people in the main hall of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan could not help but be shocked. An overwhelming sense of destruction instantly enveloped Han Qing. The black rays of Nirvana soared from all directions were about to devour him. Han Qing's expression suddenly changed. He roared, "What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?" As soon as his voice fell, the 4 people not far behind him had already made their moves at the same time. They stood on all 4 sides of him. Countless crescent moons blocked Long Chen's celestial technique. Even so, the 5 of them were blasted tens of thousands of meters away. They were forcefully blasted into the ground. Long Chen frowned suddenly, and his expression turned gloomy. Although the 5 of them only had the cultivation of a late-stage human sovereign, they possessed the heavenly domain power. Their combat prowess was far beyond that of the people in the Waste Realm. They had actually blocked his celestial technique with their combined strength. Seeing the moonlight shooting out from the ground, Longchen snorted coldly and retreated quickly. As Longchen retreated, dozens of origin forces bombarded him from behind. They stopped him in his tracks. He turned around and looked. They turned out to be the disciples of the Haoyue ancient clan who had not retreated from the light pillars. At this moment, they saw that Longchen intended to retreat. They wanted to stop him and help Han Qing and the others. Bang! This attack was effective. The next moment, a ray of moonlight bombarded Longchen's back. It blasted him thousands of meters away. Unfortunately, a ray of sword light shot out from Longchen's right hand and instantly killed all the people of the Haoyue ancient clan who attacked him. These people were all Taoists. With a thought, Longchen's bloodline power suddenly surged into his body. The 5 elements Azure Dragon bloodline, which had already reached perfection, finally began to loosen up. Han Qing and the other 4 did not notice Longchen's strange movements at all. They slowly walked toward Longchen. Han Qing, who was in the lead, said coldly, "Your combat prowess is really beyond my expectations. But this is the end." As Han Qing's voice fell, he approached Longchen. His whole body emitted an aura that caused the space to crack. This was the aura of the heavenly domain. Chapter 438. Moon God's essence. The 5 people's cultivation did not change, but their combat power soared. At this moment, Han Qing and the other 4 seemed to have merged into one. Behind them, dozens of moons were beating like hearts. They finally noticed Longchen's abnormality. The aura around Longchen began to become illusory, as if he was about to disappear into thin air. Han Qing and the others frowned. Without any hesitation, they attacked Longchen. Sacred technique, Sky Moon Rampage. The 5 of them shouted in unison. Waves of aura that did not belong to the waste domain rushed out from their bodies, shattering the space within a dozen meters. Around them, nearly 100 moons cut through the space and fell toward Longchen. Inside the Bright Moon ancient clan, many elders heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. Han Qing and the other 4 were the strongest of the younger generation that they had cultivated. Their purpose was to open the Divine Corpse realm. However, no one expected that Longchen would force them to use the power of the heavenly domain. Boom! 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 The forbidden area of the Bright Moon ancient clan, with Longchen as the center, was instantly riddled with holes. The ground within a radius of 10,000 meters collapsed by 100 meters. Waves of aura from the heavenly domain spread out, causing space ripples to fill the sky. The foreign Taoists were still hurriedly fleeing tens of thousands of meters away. However, anyone who came into contact with the aura of the heavenly domain would immediately swell up before their bodies collapsed. It was as if their bodies could not withstand this kind of aura at all. Looking at this terrifying scene, Han Qing and the other 4 could not help but gasp. After receiving the order, they originally thought that it would be easy to deal with this. However, they had to use nearly half of the heavenly domain's aura, and the 5 of them had to attack together. This person was really too terrifying. The 5 of them sensed that Longchen's aura had completely disappeared, so they turned around to leave. However, just as they took a few steps, the sound of boulders rolling came from behind them. They turned around to look. They saw the head of a giant beast that seemed real and illusory at the same time rushing out from the rubble. Its huge body soared into the sky. The giant beast instantly covered the entire sky. They were clearly in the forbidden area of the Bright Moon ancient clan, but the sun, moon, and stars were alternating in the sky. When the mountains collapsed, the rivers and lakes flowed endlessly. On the gigantic dragon's body, countless bolts of lightning seemed real and illusory at the same time. Rain fell from the sky, but it did not fall to the ground. Han Qing and the others subconsciously took a few steps back as they stared at the sky. The 5th avatar of the heavenly dragon bloodline, the Mirage Clam Dragon. What What kind of bloodline is this? Why have we never seen it before? Why is the blood in my body trembling uncontrollably? I actually have the urge to kneel on the ground. This person's bloodline grade is probably far higher than my Bright Moon Ancient clan's. Although his appearance is similar to the body he just manifested, his aura is completely different. Just how many trump cards does this person have? Han Qing and the others cried out involuntarily. Their faces were somewhat pale, and the pressure from the bloodline made them feel as if a fishbone was stuck in their throats. Meanwhile, in the Bright Moon Ancient clan, the sacrificial elders stared at the projection of Long Chen's sea serpent body and frowned. After a long while, he suddenly turned pale with fright and stood up. This is the bloodline from ancient times. His voice trembled. The entire Bright Moon Ancient clan had never seen him lose his composure like this. With a move of his right hand, a piece of broken animal skin appeared in front of everyone. The fantasy sea serpent body was engraved on it. Quick, go to the forbidden area of my clan. Whether Han Qing and the others are dead or alive, we must not let this person leave our clan alive. The sacrificial elder's eyes were like torches as he stared at the pattern on the animal skin with murderous intent. On the other side, Han Qing and the others were already covered in cold sweat. They were shocked to find that the heavenly domain aura seemed to have hit a barrier and was blocked by Long Chen's body. Long Chen's cold eyes made them feel an unprecedented fear. Han Qing and the others finally retreated slowly. Without the support of the heavenly domain, they were just Taoists at the middle stage of the human sovereign realm. They had no chance of winning against Long Chen. Unfortunately, Long Chen did not seem to want to give them a chance to leave. A dragon's roar came from his mouth, but everyone could hear it clearly. Bloodline magic, fantasy blood kill. Buzz. As soon as Long Chen's voice fell, the entire forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient clan turned into a blood-red color in an instant. The surrounding scenery turned into mountains, rivers, the sun, and the moon. However, the mountains and rocks were made of blood, and the water was blood-red. Even the sun and the moon had turbulent blood flowing out. Everyone was enveloped in an instant, and the entire Bright Moon Ancient clan was in a state of bloodbath. No, no! Han Qing and the others knelt on the ground with a plop, as if they were suffering unprecedented pain. Gradually, their flesh and blood began to blend with the blood around them, turning from real to illusory. In just a few breaths, they completely disappeared from this world. Even their divine souls did not have time to appear. Many foreign clan disciples collapsed on the ground, all of them convulsing. At that moment, they seemed to be in another space. The countless scenes in front of them were real and illusory. They saw with their own eyes that Han Qing and the others had shattered themselves with their own strength. Everyone looked at Long Chen in awe. The entire forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient clan was terrifyingly quiet. No one dared to raise the sound of their breathing. Long Chen's figure moved, and he instantly jumped down from the sky. When he appeared again, he had already landed on the last moon in his human form. At this moment, his face was as pale as paper. With his current cultivation, using the celestial technique and the bloodline magic power of the sea serpent dragon celestial body that he had just condensed was extremely taxing on him. Just as I expected, when the sea serpent dragon celestial body was condensed, my cultivation also reached the third level of the human sovereign realm. Long Chen quickly stabilized the realm that he had just broken through, and his complexion gradually improved. At the same time, his divine telekinesis instantly scanned every inch of the ninth new moon. However, although he sensed the rich aura of the heavenly domain, he still did not find the passage that connected to the heavenly domain. However, he found another item, the moon god essence. The moon god essence was like a palm-sized shadow of a new moon that rose and fell between the ninth new moon. This item would only appear when the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient clan was completely opened. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for foreign clans to obtain this item. Seeing the moon god essence, Long Chen raised his eyebrows. It seemed that this item was also very important to him, so he quickly put it away. However, after searching for a while, he still could not find the passage that connected to the heavenly domain. This shouldn't be. The entire ninth moon is filled with the rich aura of the heavenly domain. The passage to the heavenly domain should be here. Longchen frowned. Chapter 439. Counterattack. Longchen stood on the ninth crescent moon, but he was still clueless. Heavenly flame beast, burn everything here. After a while, Longchen no longer hesitated and gave the order. Daodu, Daodu, the exotic fire beast leaped out from the totem on Longchen's right arm. Its small body was like a stream of light as it flew through the entire forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Countless heavenly flames soared into the sky, and the entire forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan turned into a sea of fire in an instant. Seeing this, Longchen still did not stop. Streams of earth origin energy whizzed out from his right hand as he shouted, "Fuse!" Countless earth-type precepts from all directions rapidly swept toward his fingertips. The entire forbidden area of the Haoyu Ancient Clan had turned into a void. Only the ripples of the matrix were supporting everyone's feet. Countless flames of various colors were burning in all directions, exuding a scorching aura that even Renhuangs would be wary of. Rumble. One by one, figures appeared in the forbidden area. Many elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan stepped on the ripples of the matrix. Their faces turned from green to purple. Everyone looked at Longchen. Longchen's gaze was like sharp Taoists scraping across his body. You actually dared to destroy my clan's forbidden grounds with a strange flame. The elder priest's voice sounded like it came from the depths of hell, and it was extremely hoarse. He never thought that Longchen would have the strength to kill Han Qing and the others. After all, Han Qing and the others had heavenly domain energy in their bodies. Even an expert like Han Xian would lose his life if he was careless. However, they had all died tragically at the hands of Longchen. There was also the deviant flame. He knew a lot about heavenly flames, but there were several heavenly flames here, which completely exceeded his knowledge. Otherwise, this forbidden area wouldn't be in such a terrible state. Almost all of its source energy had been destroyed. Longchen stared at the crowd and revealed a cold smile. He said coldly, "What? Elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, are you going to violate the Ancient Clan Treaty again?" As soon as Longchen finished speaking, everyone outside the Forbidden Passage, led by the Alchemist Guild's elder, forcibly stepped into the Bright Moon Ancient Clan's Forbidden Passage. One figure after another appeared between Longchen and the experts of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, causing the situation to become tense. The clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan took a step forward and said coldly to the crowd, "Didn't you see that? This person actually destroyed the forbidden area of my Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Do you still want to mention the Ancient Clan Alliance?" An elder from the Sword Worship tribe stood at the very front and said with a playful smile, "The Ancient Races Treaty only states that when the younger generation enters the forbidden grounds of the various races, the older generation is not allowed to interfere. Otherwise, they will be punished. Do you still remember 3 years ago when your clansmen killed 13 ordinary Taoists and 4 heaven-defying Taoists in my clan's forbidden area and destroyed the 10th floor of the Sword Pagoda?" As soon as the voice of the Swordsmanship Clan's elder faded, an old man from the Alchemist Guild stood up and said in a low voice, "My Alchemist Guild has always been neutral. The rules of the Ancient Races Treaty should be followed." The expressions of the people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan changed again and again as they stared at Longchen. The Dark Star Organization, the Alchemist Guild, and the Sword Worship Tribe were all speaking up for Longchen and opposing the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. When the sacrificial elder of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan saw this scene, his entire face drooped. However, his mind was spinning rapidly. At this moment, he took Longchen seriously. After a long confrontation, the sacrificial elder suddenly turned around and said to the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, "This person destroyed the forbidden area of my Bright Moon Ancient Clan and killed many of my Taoists. We must not let him leave today. Attack! I want to see if they dare to go to war with my Bright Moon Ancient Clan today." The expressions of the people of the various ancient clans changed slightly. No one had expected the Bright Moon Ancient Clan to be so unyielding. Boom! 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 However, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan did not give them more time to think. One after another, the elders of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan with peak combat strength rushed out and instantly attacked the people of the various ancient clans. Among them, 2 sage-to-be realm experts flew into the air. After all, this was the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. As soon as the battle began, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had an overwhelming advantage. When the elder of the Alchemist Guild saw that Longchen had yet to take action, he glared at him fiercely and said, "What are you still hesitating for? This time, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan has been forced into a corner by you. It's fine if you killed people, but why did you turn this place into this?" Not only the elder of the Alchemist Guild, but also the people of the other ancient clans could not help but twitch their eyes when they saw that the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had been turned into ruins. When Longchen heard this, he shook his head as if he did not see the people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan attacking each other. His eyes gradually fell on the place where the 9th full moon disk was originally located. "I see. The so-called passageway that connects to the celestial domain is actually this space." When Longchen saw that the aura of the attacks of the people of the Bright Moon disk was inexplicably shattered once they got close to the original location of the 9th full moon disk, he suddenly understood. The so-called passageway that connected to the celestial domain was not an actual passageway at all, but the space covered by the 9th full moon disk. As soon as Longchen's voice fell, in front of everyone, streams of dragon chi accompanied by the origin energy bombarded this space. The moment the attack was launched, Longchen instantly confirmed his guess, because this space was indeed very weak. With a simple attack, it had actually caused the space to shake. "How dare you!" Seeing that Longchen was trying to launch this attack, the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan soared into the air and instantly turned into a beam of moonlight. He passed through the crowd and headed straight toward Longchen. Sage-level cultivation. Everyone's expression changed, and they rushed in front of Longchen. They used their magical powers to help him block this attack. The people of the various clans gathered here for the Bright Moon Ancient Clan's passageway that connected to the celestial domain. Now that the passageway had been discovered, they must let Longchen destroy it. Clan leader, do you still remember to help me take care of my wife and children?" Seeing that the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, who had a sage-level cultivation, was invincible, a black light suddenly transmitted from the passageway to the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. In the blink of an eye, it fell above the clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, and streams of sword chi crazily fell down. Longchen did not turn his head and continued to bombard the space in front of him. He knew who had come. He also knew that he would definitely come. That day, he helped Han Xian to become a demon. Today was the day for Han Xian to repay his kindness and take revenge, so he would definitely come. With the arrival of Han Xian, the attacks of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan were relieved. As Longchen bombarded hundreds of times in a row, the space in front of him also shattered into countless pieces with a loud bang. Chapter 440. Tear open a gap under the mighty space turbulence. The powerhouses of the various ancient clans were preparing to leave the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Everyone had a playful look on their faces. This was especially true for the top forces. The forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had a passageway that connected to the Heaven Domain, which had always been the source of dread for the various clans. Now, not only had the passageway been destroyed, but many young Taoists of the Haoyu Ancient Clan had also been killed by Longchen. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to the Haoyu Ancient Clan. At this moment, Han Xian's entire body was emitting a demonic blackish-purple color. His original source of power had completely turned pitch black after Longchen had used an immoral technique to help him become like a demon. Faced with the siege of so many experts from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, his eyes were bloodshot like a demon from hell, choosing his prey to devour. The faces of the people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan turned ashen. Who would have thought that Longchen would destroy the entire forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan by himself? It even broke the passage to the Heaven Realm. My Bright Moon Ancient Clan will remember what happened today. The clan leader of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan and Han Xian exchanged a blow, and the space behind them disappeared. Under the influence of the saint power, several Renhuangs in the middle and later stages of the Renhuang realm were sent flying. Their faces were filled with shock. However, today's matter had already come to an end. No matter how crazy the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was, it was impossible for them to leave so many powerhouses from various ancient clans here. Moreover, the space here had already begun to crumble. Longchen followed the other ancient clans and left under the murderous gazes of the Haoyu ancient clan. Only Han Xian was still laughing madly and killing every member of the Haoyu ancient clan. Many people looked back with yearning inside. Everyone had heard of Han Xianji's character. He was originally a hero past his prime, but he did not have a good ending. Now, he had turned into a demon and slaughtered his own people for revenge. It really made people sigh. As the Forbidden Land of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan collapsed, everyone returned to the Forbidden Land's passageway. Rumble. As soon as the crowd walked out, they saw the teleportation light door left by the Bright Moon Ancient Clan at the Forbidden Passage crumble instantly. It turned into a space crack and immediately disappeared. Han Xian did not come out. He was still killing his way through the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Perhaps in his heart, he should have died in the battle with Long Chen. How is this possible? What happened to the forbidden area of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan? Why is the passage shattered? The elder guarding the light gate in the forbidden area of the Haoyu Ancient Clan was in disbelief. He immediately looked at Long Chen with a murderous look. However, just as he looked at Long Chen, he saw several elders of the Sword Worship Clan staring at him and shouting coldly, "The Bright Moon Ancient Clan has violated the alliance treaty. What are you waiting for?" With everyone's command, the elder from the sword-worshipping clan actually took the initiative to attack. Strands of origin energy shot out and instantly killed the elder from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The surrounding 2-star and 3-star ancient clans remained silent, as though they were judging the situation. They were all vassals of several overlord forces. Now that the forbidden land of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had been destroyed, many Renhuangs of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan were attacking Longchen in the passageway of the Forbidden Land. Violating the alliance treaty in front of everyone was very likely to become an excuse for the other ancient clans to carve up the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Longchen's lips curled into a smile. This was what he wanted to see. Inside the formation of the Forbidden Land, many vassal clans of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan saw that the other ancient clans here had fallen out with the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. They felt uneasy and left through the light gate of the Forbidden Land. After the various ancient clans had a discussion, they left one after another. Several elders of the Alchemist Guild came to Longchen and the others. The leader of the elders clasped his fists and said to Longchen, "Young lady asked me to pass on a message to you. The door of the Alchemist Guild will always be open to you." Longchen responded with a salute. The elder nodded slightly and turned to leave. After everyone had left, Ao Tsuncheong stared at Longchen and asked, "What are you going to do next? The wilderness will be in chaos soon. You'd better return to the Dark Star Organization first. After all, you are the young master of the Dark Star Organization." Longchen replied. Ao Tsuncheong frowned slightly and said, "I'll go with you to the Worshipper Clan. The Dark Star Organization has nothing to do with me." When Longchen heard Ao Tsuncheong's words, he could not help but smile bitterly and did not say anything more. The four of them quickly left the passage of the Forbidden Land and quickly chased after the people of the Worshipper Clan. Then, they returned to the Worshipper Clan together. When the experts of various forces returned to their clans, the news of Han Xian's death spread in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. However, his death also caused great turmoil in the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, causing everyone to be in a state of panic. After all, Han Xian was originally a member of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. When Longchen and the others returned to the Worshipper Clan, the clan leader of the Worshipper Clan brought Jian Chen to personally welcome Longchen and the others. Longchen hurriedly went forward and greeted the clan leader of the Worshipper Clan. "These days, I've caused trouble for you, little friend Longchen." Jian Fantian smiled helplessly and waved his hand to signal Jian Chen to come forward. Jian Chen stared at Longchen and could not help but show a hint of fear in his eyes. He lowered his body and said in a trembling voice, "These days, I've caused trouble for you. Please punish me." Longchen smiled and shook his head. Although Jianchen was a little narrow-minded, he was not very courageous. Many things were done by the third elder. If it was in the past, Longchen would definitely not forgive him. However, the worshipper clan was so upright that he naturally would not take this person to heart. In fact, Longchen had a good impression of the worshipper clan. This clan was straightforward and strict with themselves. They were the opposite of the Bright Moon Ancient clan. In his previous life, this clan had never retreated in the Battle of Infinite Region. With this in mind, Longchen asked Jian Fantian, "How long until the Divine Corpse realm opens?" Jian Fantian did not know why Longchen asked this question. He pinched his fingers and pondered for a moment before replying, "Little friend, you asked at the right time. The Divine Corpse realm will open 2 months from today." Longchen seemed to have just asked casually. Then, he followed Jian Fantian and the other elders to the inner hall. It was not until midnight that Longchen and the others left the inner hall. In the next few days, Longchen chose to go into seclusion after explaining many things to Jianshi San and the 3 war souls. It was not until the 7th day that he came out of seclusion. There was a milky white crystal in his hand. The crystal looked extremely ordinary, but there was a rising and falling new moon inside. Jianshi San and the others were surprised. They did not know what Longchen had refined in the past few days. Longchen's lips curled into a smile. He said faintly, "In the past few days, did the other ancient clans not take any action? Did they not take any action against the Bright Moon Ancient clan?" Instead, it was unusually quiet. The Yazi war soul nodded and replied, "Indeed. Although the Bright Moon Ancient clan is in chaos and the Forbidden Area has been destroyed, no one is willing to be the first to take the lead. The Bright Moon Ancient clan is one of the 4 one-star clans. They control the entire North region. Although the other ancient clans have the intention to take action, they are all waiting for an opportunity." Chapter 441. Lehua clan. After the battle in the Forbidden Passage, it was like the calm before the storm. The entire wasteland was unusually calm. But everyone could smell the flames of war, in today. Within the sword-bearing clan, a group of people walked out majestically. The person in the lead was Longchen. Ao Tsungqiong and the 3 mythological beast spirits were flying on Longchen's left, while Jianshi San, Yi Hailan, and Qing Xian were on his right. Behind them was a group of several hundred renhuangs, followed by several thousand renhuangs. Most of these people had followed Longchen since the northern region, and all of them cultivated the origin of the 5 elements. The other group consisted of the Jiuyin ancient people and the clansmen led by the fighting souls of Tao Tai and Yazi. They used Longchen's 5 elemental laws to become human kings. Then, they used the 5 elemental origins left behind by Longchen to become human sovereigns. In their hearts, Longchen was like a god. They had never thought that they would be able to follow Longchen out of the northern region. Now, they were even able to travel among the many ancient clans in the wasteland. Everything seemed like a dream. Reaching the Runhuang Plain was something that none of them had ever imagined, but all of this had become possible because of Longchen. Watching Longchen's group leave, the worshipping sword clan's patriarch Jian Fantian and the other elders watched from afar. Jian Fantian said in a deep voice, "This person is really bold. He single-handedly made the Bright Moon Ancient clan the target of public criticism. He also found an excuse for the various clans to attack the Bright Moon Ancient clan. Now, he wants to completely destroy this peace. Clan Master, all the ancient clans are eyeing the Bright Moon Ancient clan covetously. Since this person wants to take the lead, why don't we lend him a hand? This person's actions are open and honest, and he even has a peerless talent. His future is boundless." Everyone nodded. Many elders of the Sorshipping Sword clan had a high opinion of Longchen and his group after spending many days together. Jian Fantian shook his head slightly and said, "The more this is the case, the more we can't do anything. The Bright Moon Ancient clan has been a 1-star overlord clan for many years. Even if the Tianyu passage is destroyed, they should not be underestimated. Let the ancient clans to stir up the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Seeing Long Chen and the others disappear into the horizon, Jian Fantian turned around and left. Long Chen and the others traveled all the way to the north. After traveling for a full 5 days, they finally slowed down. The Yazi fighting soul looked into the distance and said to Long Chen, "There are 10 powerful 2-star ancient clans under the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The Thunder Fire Clan is one of them. This clan is located above the northern mountain chain mine, and there are 4 supreme-grade spiritual veins under it. This clan can be considered the richest clan after the Bright Moon Ancient Clan." Long Chen nodded when he heard the fighting soul's words. He smiled and said, "This place shall be the foothold of the Zhangji clan." As Long Chen's voice fell, there was a sudden commotion behind him. Everyone had a fiery and excited look on their faces. Ever since they came to the northern region, they had visited the Jiuyin ancient people, and then stayed in the sword-serving clan. However, they had never been able to establish themselves. When the Taotai fighting soul heard about the chain mines and the 4 spiritual veins, its eyes lit up and it could not help but drool. After swallowing 2 mouthfuls, he said to the Yazi fighting soul, "At that time, the Thunder Fire tribe was as famous as our 2 ancient tribes. I remember that your clan is behind this clan. When you left with me that day, I'm afraid that your clan's land has been taken over by this clan, right?" Hearing the Taotai fighting soul's ridicule, Yazi snorted coldly. The Yazi fighting soul and the Taotai fighting soul had always been like this. Hence, he did not mind and continued to lead the group forward. Soon, they saw a huge mountain range. The mountain range shone with a strange silver-gray color, as if there were countless stars in it. As the mountain range crisscrossed, it was as if the mountain range was connected by chains. The Thunder Fire tribe is located at the intersection of the mountain ranges in the chain mines, the Yazi fighting soul said to Long Chen. The chain mines were like a natural barrier. There were many resources in it, and it was indeed a good place to set up a clan. "Master, it seems that we are not the only clan here." Jianshi Sam looked at the top of a mountain 10,000 meters to the left. Long Chen looked into the distance and nodded slightly. In fact, when he spread out his spiritual thought, he had already noticed that there were several groups of people hiding in the dark. After all, he had brazenly left the sword-serving clan. Naturally, the news had already spread to all the ancient tribes. Many people were waiting to see what would happen. Naturally, there were also people who wanted to take a share of the profits. However, Long Chen did not care. What he wanted was to stir up chaos in the wasteland and make the Bright Moon Ancient Clan fall into a state of eternal damnation. Only then could the Zhangji clan, which he led, rise. Long Chen was determined to establish a force in the wasteland that was strong enough to fight against the heavenly region. Rumble. While the various forces were still watching, Long Chen waved his hand and streaks of origin energy turned into a rain of swords that fell into the chain mines. The several groups of people hiding in the dark were stunned. No one had expected Long Chen to be so decisive. The leaders of the several groups sneered and looked at each other from afar. A sound-transmitting charm appeared in their hands. It turned out that the people hiding in the dark were cooperating with each other. The leader of the several groups whispered into the sound-transmitting charm in his hand, "Rumor has it that Long Chen's combat strength is monstrous. He has the cultivation to crush the heaven-defying Daozi, but now it seems that the rumor is false." "I think so too. Although the Thunder Fire clan is a 2-star ancient clan, there are still many experts in it. There are also many elders of the Bright Moon clan guarding it. This person came and attacked as soon as he arrived. He is really brainless. Why do we care so much? As long as this person attacks, the ancient tribes will definitely not remain silent. After a short period of peace, there will be a stormy battle. No matter whether this person wins or dies, the water will be muddied. When the time comes, even if this person loses, our clans together will be enough to seize a supreme-grade spirit vein and several mines from them." In fact, these people had gathered here many days before Long Chen. They had been eyeing the mines and supreme-grade spirit veins covetously for a long time. After a round of discussion, everyone felt that Long Chen was extremely reckless and was willing to be used by the ancient tribes. However, when they looked at Long Chen and the others again, their expressions changed. They saw the sound of boulders tumbling from the three mines in front of Long Chen. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be corpses. The rain of swords had stopped, and the birds and beasts in the three mines in front of Long Chen flew away. Many people did not even have time to scream. "Let's go! This clan has long been prepared. There are ambushes in each mountain range, but it won't be difficult to get rid of them." Long Chen led the crowd toward the three mines. Chapter 442. Terrifying Combat Strength. Although these people's cultivation bases were not high, most of them were only human kings. However, not only were the wounds on their bodies fatal, they had even shattered their souls. Under normal circumstances, it would not be difficult for these Renhuings to do this. However, if the attack was spread across the three mines and accurately hit everyone, it would be a little terrifying. The few people in the lead looked at each other, and their expressions became a little more serious. They said in a deep voice, "No matter how intelligent this person is, it seems that his combat strength is definitely not weak. We still have to be careful." After discussing for a while, they set off once again, heading towards the mine. Many of the formations in the mine were intact, but they were not activated at all. Long Chen's attack didn't give them any chance at all. Long Chen and the others walked along the intersecting valleys of the three mines. Now, they could clearly see a huge palace in front of them. Ao Tsuncheong and the others also began to be vigilant. Although they were strong, they did not have an advantage in terms of numbers after the two battles with the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Facing the resource-rich Thunder Fire Clan, they didn't dare to say that they had absolute confidence. Only Long Chen remained calm from the beginning, as if he had a card up his sleeve for this battle. An hour later, ripples of matrices appeared above the Thunder Fire Clan, enveloping the entire valley. Many Renhuang cultivators appeared one after another. They looked at Long Chen and the others from afar. Among them, there were nearly 100 Renhuangs with a full moon behind them. They were the members of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. When these people saw Long Chen, their faces were filled with murderous intent. To the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, Long Chen was someone they had to kill. At the same time, except for the three mines that had been opened by Long Chen, there were array ripples flashing on all the other mines. Long Chen suddenly stopped and looked at the Leihua Ancient Clan from afar. His voice was like thunder as he said, "Those who leave this place will not be killed. Leave no one from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan alive. No one from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan would be spared." The corners of the eyes of everyone in the Thunder Fire tribe twitched when these words were uttered. What arrogance! An old human emperor from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan walked in front of the people from the Tiredness Clan and shouted coldly, "Although I have heard that your combat strength is monstrous, you are too conceited to think that you can destroy us with just these people." As soon as the man finished speaking, he waved his right hand. Dazzling light beams shot out from the interconnected mines in all directions. They turned into blades that were tens of thousands of feet long and attacked Long Chen and the others. The blades of the formation that blotted out the sky shocked the several groups of people who were following Long Chen and the others from afar. "Defend!" However, just as the countless blades were about to fall, Long Chen shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, the light of the origins suddenly appeared on the bodies of many Renhuangs behind them. Holy Technique, Earth and Sky Devouring Formation. Holy Technique, voices rang out in unison. The many Renhuangs behind Long Chen used the same saint-level defensive martial technique at the same time. Puff! Puff! Earth elemental battle techniques that flickered with origin energy were conjured. They directly blocked the sky, forcefully blocking the formation blades. This attack shocked everyone in the Thunder Fire Clan. They never thought that so many human emperors behind Long Chen would be able to use the same defensive martial skill in such an orderly manner. But before he had time to think, he heard Long Chen shout again, "Break!" Swoosh! Swoosh! In an instant, streaks of gunmetal origin energy in the sky transformed into countless long spears that whizzed out. After sweeping out for 1,000 meters, they actually merged into one and forcefully pierced into the protective formation of the Thunderfire clan. Ripples spread out from the huge formation like water ripples. However, the attacks from the people behind Longchen never stopped. In less than 100 breaths of time, the entire formation actually shattered. When Jianshi and the three Divine Beast War Souls saw this scene, their hearts were also filled with shock. Before they set off, Longchen had given each of them a Divine Soul brand, but they had never thought that they would have such a valiant battle strength. The face of the leader of the Bright Moon Ancient clan darkened when he saw this scene. "Kill them! I want to see how you can destroy a 2-star ancient clan," the leader of the Bright Moon Ancient clan roared. Under the leadership of the Bright Moon Ancient clan, the members of the Thunderfire clan charged out. But soon, everyone discovered an extremely terrifying thing. Everyone behind Longchen seemed to have merged into one and formed a battle formation. This battle formation was centered around the three Divine Beast Fighting Souls in Jianshi. Above them, there was a blood sword that was thousands of feet long. Wherever the blood sword passed, even the Renwangs were cut in half and their blood was instantly sucked out. If that was all, it would be fine. However, outside of the formation, Longchen, Ao Tsungqiong, Yi Hailan, and Qing Xian were unparalleled in their attacks. Each of them had the cultivation of a heaven-defying path disciple. With the battle formation behind them, they were simply killing machines. In particular, Longchen held a long sword and charged directly into the Thunderfire clan. Wherever he passed, no matter if it was the Renwangs of the Bright Moon Ancient clan or the Thunderfire clan, they were no match for his sword. Several groups of people who were watching from afar saw this scene from the mountains. They felt their mouths go dry. No one expected this battle to be so strange. The number of people Longchen and the others was not proportional to the number of people from the Thunderfire clan, but because of the blood sword battle formation, they were invincible. However, they did not know that this blood sword battle formation was one of the killing formations in the army when Longchen established the Divine Nation in his previous life. As the number of people killed by the battle formation increased, the combat power of the blood sword would increase. Even in the Tianyu domain, it could be said to be invincible. In less than an hour, more than 20 of the 100 Renwangs of the Bright Moon Ancient clan had died. The Thunderfire clan had lost nearly 100 Renwangs and thousands of Renwangs. Seeing Longchen and the others closing in, the people of the Bright Moon Ancient clan quickly retreated and gathered together. All the people of the Bright Moon Ancient clan kept whispering. New moons began to alternate behind them. Moonlight poured down like a waterfall and eventually turned into countless silk threads that merged into the void. For a moment, all the people of the Thunderfire clan who were above the Renwangs suddenly stiffened and stood in place in a daze. With the bloodline of the Bright Moon Ancient clan, I summoned the power of the Moon Seed. With the power of the Bright Moon Ancient clan, along with the violent roars, many people of the Thunderfire clan were horrified. The Renwangs who were about to charge forward roared unwillingly. However, their cultivation and vitality were rapidly being annihilated. Chapter 443. Submission. At this point in the battle, the experts of the Lightning Fire clan fell one after another at a speed that left one speechless. However, they were not killed by the blood sword battle formation behind Longchen. Instead, they were killed by the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient clan. It turned out that all of the Leihua clan's human king realm experts and above had a moon seed planted in their bodies. In fact, this was something that all the major ancient clans had a tacit understanding about. The core vassal ancient clans under the Bright Moon Ancient clan were generally controlled by the moon seed technique to prevent betrayal. At this moment, the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient clan were ready to fight to the death. Seeing the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient clan surging with moonlight, Longchen raised his hand in motion for everyone to stop attacking. His eyes were filled with disdain. In fact, if the Bright Moon Ancient clan and the Thunderfire Ancient clan worked together to resist, Longchen and the others would suffer heavy casualties even if they managed to defeat the two clans. However, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan and the Thunder Fire Ancient Clan seemed to be separated from each other. Not to mention the battle formations and battle techniques, even when they attacked, they rarely helped each other. They were like a sheet of loose sand. Now, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had directly used the power of the Moon Seed to deprive the Thunder Fire Clan's experts of their vitality and cultivation to enhance themselves. It was clear that they wanted to fight Longchen to the death. Every one of them had a crazed look on their faces. Absorbing the cultivation of Renhuangs of the same level on such a large scale put a great burden on their cultivation. Dozens of Renhuangs from the Haoyu Ancient Clan glared at Longchen. In their eyes, as long as they could kill Longchen today, everything would be worth it. Seeing dozens of people walking towards Longchen and the others, before the Jianshi San could form a battle formation, the milky white crystal appeared in Longchen's right hand. The new moon inside the crystal began to flicker with a dazzling brilliance. When the dazzling brilliance landed on everyone, it was filled with a cold intent. It was incomparably strange. However, when the light landed on the bodies of the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. What's going on? What did you do? The moonlight around the members of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan rotated rapidly like silk threads, as if it had turned into a huge cocoon. The faces of the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan gradually turned from gloomy to fearful. This was because their cultivations, which had just been raised by the Moon Seed, began to disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ao Tsuncheong, Jianshi San, and the others also stared blankly at the crystal in Longchen's hand. Only then did they realize why Longchen had specially spent a few days refining this item before he left, and why he was so confident on this trip. This is the Moon God's essence that you obtained from the forbidden area of your clan. I just added some modifications to it. Longchen said calmly. At this point, he was too lazy to explain further. Several groups of people who had been on top of the chain mines looked at each other in dismay when they saw this scene. Their fear of Longchen's people had already risen to the level of fear. Longchen and the others had actually suppressed the people from the Thunder Fire Clan and the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. It was too terrifying. What should we do? This person is about to win. With their combat power, I'm afraid we won't be able to get a share of the loot here. Damn it, how can these people have such powerful combat power? And the item in that person's hand can restrain the Moon Seed of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. What's going on? While everyone was discussing this, a middle-aged man with a knife scar said in a cold voice, "Although our clans are 3-star ancient clans, our strength is not weak. Now that the waste region is about to be in chaos, we must not miss this opportunity. We may not be able to seize all the resources here from this person, but it doesn't mean that we won't be able to get anything. However, we'll have to use the Xian Yuan clan's name." The other few leaders frowned when they heard this person's words. They asked in a deep voice, "The Xian Yuan clan does have the intention to take us in. However, will they really attack Longchen's group for us?" "Of course not for us, but if it's for the resources here, then it's hard to say." While these people were planning, the unwilling screams of the dozens of people from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan rose and fell one after another. Dozens of them were directly turned into skeletons. Jianshi San and the others naturally would not let go of this opportunity. They directly killed the dozens of people one by one with their swords and then shattered their spirits. In the place where they died, white moon seeds fell into the crystal in Longchen's hand. Finally, they turned into a thick wisp of moonlight and disappeared into it. Longchen looked at this wisp of moonlight, and there was a faint gleam in his eyes. This item would be of great benefit to him when he stepped into the Saint Realm in the future. The people of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan were all dead, and Longchen also put away this item. Seeing Longchen and the others coming, the survivors of the Thunder Fire Clan all knelt on the ground and prostrated themselves on both sides. No one dared to look directly at Longchen. Other than some of the older generation Renhuangs who had not been planted with the Moon Seed, there were only a few Renhuangs left in the Thunder Fire Clan. There were no other Renhuangs. They clearly knew that now, as long as Longchen gave the order, they would have no chance of survival. All the survivors had been stunned by the combat power of Long Chen and the others. Moreover, without the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, they had already lost the idea of fighting against Long Chen and the others. Long Chen walked slowly. Seeing that there were old, weak, women, and children in this clan, he felt sympathy for them. After frowning and being silent for a while, he said in a deep voice, "Now, there are two choices in front of you. First, leave this place, and I will not kill you. Second, stay here and guard the mines on all sides. I will leave you a supreme-grade spiritual vein, but from now on, there will be no more Thunder Fire Clan in the Waste Realm. There will only be the Tsani clan here." Long Chen paused and said, "Do you understand what I mean? I will only give you 10 breaths to consider whether you want to leave or stay." 1, 2, the remaining Renlangs and Taoists of the Thunder Fire Clan looked at each other. When Long Chen counted to 9, they kowtowed together. "From now on, there will be no more Thunder Fire Clan. There will only be the Tsani clan. We are willing to make you our master." When Long Chen saw the Thunder Fire Clan like this, he only nodded slightly and did not care. The Thunder Fire Clan was weak at the moment. He kept them because he felt sympathy for them. The Thunder Fire Clan had no choice but to stay here. The people of this clan were not idiots. They could see that the Waste Realm was going to be in chaos, and the forces would be divided again. If they left now, what awaited them would be destruction. Now, what they needed to do was to find a strong backer. Staying in the Thunder Fire Clan and relying on Long Chen was undoubtedly the best choice. In fact, the people of the Thunder Fire Clan did not have a deep hatred for Long Chen. On the contrary, they hated the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The root of all this was the Moon Seed and the Bright Moon Ancient Clan's attitude of looking down on the other clans. Chapter 444. Pandemonium. Following the arrival of Long Chen and the others, the Thunder Fire tribe gradually pacified their clansmen. Especially after Long Chen removed the Moon Seed from many people's bodies, he gained the favor of the Thunder Fire Clan. Long Chen took out the Moon Seeds from the bodies of many men and women. Seeing them hugging each other and crying, he shook his head and sighed. The Bright Moon Ancient Clan would be the source of the Battle of Heaven Wasteland. At least 70% of the reason was due to the Moon Seed secret technique. Jianshur-san, the 3 mythological beast warring souls, and many other human sovereign realm cultivators all had strange expressions on their faces. This battle was truly frightening but not dangerous. It had gone too smoothly. Where is the next battle? Yazi seemed to be very enthusiastic about the war and asked Long Chen. Long Chen shook his head and replied, "Repair all the formations here and reinforce them. Rest and recuperate for the next month. Don't attack again." Long Chen's words stunned everyone. On the other hand, Yi Hailan looked deeply at Long Chen, as if he knew what he was thinking. The Tao Tai fighting soul and his followers, who were originally filled with fighting spirit, were confused after hearing his words. They were like frosted eggplants. When Long Chen saw that everyone was behaving the same way, he explained, "Now that the hole has been torn open, the waste domain has been stirred up. The following matters will be handed over to the various ancient clans." After Long Chen finished speaking, he began to personally set up the formation. Qing Xian followed closely behind. Yi Hailan stood where he was and stared at Long Chen's back for a while. He did not follow him. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by Jianshur-san and the 3 mythological beast war souls. The Tao Tai fighting soul winked at her and asked, "You seem to know what our master is thinking. Hurry up and explain it to us." Although Yi Hailan had a beautiful face, her cold arrogance kept people at a distance. Even though they were very familiar with her, the Tao Tai fighting spirit was the only one who did not pay attention to her. Yi Hailan didn't seem to care. He just replied calmly, "Firstly, we are here to send a signal to the other clans. That is, someone has already begun to divide up the forces of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Secondly, all the major ancient clans will definitely take action soon. The entire desolate region will be in chaos because of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The forces will also be divided again. At this moment, we have too few people. Thirdly, although Longchen wants to destroy the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, it's impossible for us to do so with our current strength. It's better to let the various ancient clans fight each other. This is the time for us to recuperate. Yi Hailan said word by word. Jian Shan and the 3 divine beast war souls were stunned. On the contrary, many clan elders behind them nodded in agreement. In fact, there was another part that Yi Hailan didn't know. Longchen also didn't tell everyone about the Battle of Heaven Wasteland. This battle would come no matter what. However, now that he had destroyed the passage that connected the Bright Moon Ancient Clan to the Heavenly Region, it might come later. This period of time was enough to destroy the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. After that, the Battle of Heaven Wasteland would be the real cruel test. However, when the crisis came, it was also an unprecedented opportunity for all the major ancient clans in the ancient Desolation Land. After that, it was also the time for Longchen to head to the 10th Heavenly Region. In the following days, the Tao Tai fighting spirit directly entered the mind chain. Longchen began to set up the formation and continued to teach everyone the method of battle formation. He also selected people with potential from the Thunder Fire clan. As Yi Hailan said, although they were strong, they had too few people. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. During these 7 days, the entire wasteland had undergone unprecedented changes. The battle that Longchen and the others had fought here was like throwing a stone into a calm lake. Although the pebbles were small, they created endless ripples, one after another as they passed each other. In an instant, the entire wasteland was in turmoil, whether it was the 3-star ancient clan, the 2-star ancient clan, or even the 4 great overlords, all began to fight. Among the 4 great overlords, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had become the target of public criticism. In just 7 days, dozens of vassal clans were destroyed. In particular, when the battle started, the first clan to appear was the 3-headed Golden Lion clan. This clan was a reclusive clan and displayed unparalleled combat power. Although only one Taoist was born, it shocked all the major ancient clans, and even the overlord clans were very wary of it. The leader of these Taoists was Luo Yang, who had been summoned by Longchen outside the Jiuyin ancient people. The 3-headed Golden Lion clan was like a sharp sword that pierced into the hinterland of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. It could be said that they were invincible. However, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan also displayed its strength as a 1-star ancient clan. All the Renwangs of the major vassal clans were summoned back, forming a powerful force. Not only that, all the major clans were in a state of war at this moment, but the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was completely unscrupulous in using the secret moon planting technique. Among them, the Taoists in the clan were advancing at a terrifying speed. It was not an exaggeration to say that their cultivation was advancing by leaps and bounds. Troubled times were a whetstone. This saying was true. In just 7 days, the entire wasteland had undergone earth-shaking changes. Finally, enemies appeared outside the Thunder Fire clan. Upon closer inspection, they were the troops that had followed Longchen and the others. Behind them, there were Renwangs who seemed to be covered in flames. These people were all wearing embroidered robes with the words Xianyuan printed on them. Is this the place? Isn't this the place where the Thunder Fire clan is located? It is said that this place has been occupied by Longchen. A young man who was the leader of the Xianyuan clan said in a deep voice. Several people behind him nodded. Immediately, they frowned slightly and stepped forward. They said in a deep voice, "This person's combat strength cannot be judged by common sense. Moreover, he has dealings with the Sword-Bearing Clan, the Dark Star Organization, and even the Alchemist Guild. We'd better not get into trouble." Everyone nodded. There was probably no one in the wasteland who did not know Longchen. However, the young man who was the leader sneered and said in a cold voice, "I have heard many rumors about this person before I left the clan. Today, I want to see for myself whether he really has 3 heads and 6 arms and can fight against a sage-to-be." Everyone could only smile bitterly when they heard this. The young man who was the leader pointed at the chain of mines and said to the people who had followed Longchen, "Tell me, which part of this place belongs to you?" Now, you are a vassal clan of the Xianyuan clan. As long as it is your place, I will take it back for you. Several people looked at each other, and their faces suddenly showed a touch of joy. They pointed at the chain of mountains and said without thinking, half of this chain of mountains was conquered by us, and there is a superb spiritual vein in it. Chapter 445. Soul Burning Technique. Several two-star ancient clans were led by Yuan Cheng, a Taoist of the Xianyuan clan, toward the Thunder Fire clan's chain of mines. However, the few middle-aged men following behind Yuan Cheng revealed helpless expressions. Long Chen's name had spread throughout the waste domain a few days ago. Many of the older generation even thought that he would be the most heaven-defying person among the younger generation of Taoists. Although he had disappeared after the various ancient clans in the waste domain began to fight with each other, no one dared to underestimate him. The crowd headed straight toward one of the mines and then walked toward the valley behind the mountain. Originally, everyone except Yuan Cheng was cautious. After all, it was too easy to set up an ambush in such a mine. However, in the blink of an eye, they stepped onto the mountain top almost without any obstruction. Looking down from the top of the mountain was the valley. Inside the valley was the current Sangji clan, which was also the place where Long Chen and the others were staying. From the way I see it, this person is merely fishing for fame. What does he mean by being able to suppress those of the same level and fight against a Bansheng? If he really possessed such a cultivation, why would he hide in this place? Yuan Cheng pointed at the valley below and laughed. The other members of the Xianyuan clan did not answer. Instead, the leaders of the three-star ancient clans hurriedly complimented, even if this person has some combat strength, how can he be compared to Young Master? Young Master is one of the heaven-defying Taoists of the Xianyuan clan. How can he be compared to you? That's right. After joining the Thunder Fire clan, this person only knows how to be conservative. He's obviously a short-sighted person, I think so too. How can he be compared to Young Master Yuan Cheng? Yuan Cheng laughed in the face of everyone's compliments, as if he was enjoying it. Yuan Cheng smiled and pointed at the chain of mines, saying, "When I get this person out of here, these mines will be yours from today onwards." As soon as Yuan Cheng's voice fell, flaming divine light suddenly shot up from behind him. It instantly streaked across the sky and fell toward the clan guarding formation in the valley. Bang, bang, bang. The violent bombardment was like the roar of thunder, reverberating back and forth in the valley surrounded by the chain of mines. When the light dissipated, Long Chen and Ao Tsungqiong were already standing at the edge of the formation. It's only been 7 or 8 days, and someone is already attacking us. Jian Shisan said in a low voice. Yazi's eyes were as sharp as blades. He saw the Xianyuan clan from afar and said in a cold voice, "It's the few groups that followed us. It seems that they have found helpers and want to fight with us for this place." Long Chen stood in front of the crowd, his face as calm as water. With a wave of his hand, the clan guarding formation that covered the sky retreated like a tide. Then, like a phantom, he went from the valley to the mine where Yuan Cheng was. Jian Shisan and the others followed closely behind. Seeing Long Chen and the others coming over, the middle-aged men behind Yuan Cheng immediately acted as if they were facing a great enemy. It was obvious that they were still quite afraid of Long Chen. Yuan Cheng looked at the people behind him and snorted coldly. He took a step forward and said, "Are you the so-called Long Chen who can suppress the heaven-defying Paozi and fight with a half-saint?" There was a smile on the corners of Long Chen's mouth. He did not reply. Instead, he stared at Yuan Cheng and said, "The Xianyuan clan? I'm very interested in your clan's spiritual burning technique." Back then, Han Chi of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had used the spiritual burning technique on Long Chen in the passage of the Forbidden Area. This technique was also an extremely strange technique of the Xianyuan clan. In his previous life, Long Chen had also suffered at the hands of the Xianyuan clan because of this technique. Today, since the Paozi of the Xianyuan clan had sent them here, Long Chen would naturally not be polite. If they could obtain the burning spirit technique, it would undoubtedly increase their overall strength by quite a bit in the chaotic desolate region. However, Yuan Cheng's face darkened as he stared at Long Chen. He sneered and said, "If you want to obtain my clan's spiritual burning technique, I'm afraid you're not qualified. It's not up to you to decide whether I'm qualified or not." Long Chen stared at Yuan Cheng and disappeared in a flash. However, his figure seemed to have teleported and appeared beside Yuan Cheng. Then, he threw out a punch. Yuan Cheng and the others' faces changed dramatically. No one had expected Long Chen to attack so decisively. Yuan Cheng's reaction was also very fast. His python robe fluttered even though there was no wind. Waves of flame power instantly soared into the sky. In a flash, his right fist was surrounded by endless flame divine power and blasted toward Long Chen's fist. Rumble. A loud boom caused the people around to retreat. In everyone's shocked eyes, Yuan Cheng was blasted out like a cannonball and heavily hit the mountain of the mine. The entire mine shook violently. Long Chen looked at half of his body that was surrounded by flames because of Yuan Cheng's attack. He frowned slightly and waved his right hand casually. The power of flame instantly dissipated. Hiss. The few middle-aged men from the Xian Yuan clan who had been following behind Yuan Cheng saw Long Chen's action and could not help but gasp. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. The Xian Yuan clan inherited the extreme flame fire vein and the bloodline spiritual power was filled with violent flames. It was also one of the reasons why the Xian Yuan clan could become one of the 4 one-star ancient clans. However, at that moment, the extreme flame power that was feared by all the clans in the Waste region did not even leave a scar on Long Chen's body. Before the few of them had time to speak, they heard Yuan Cheng's voice from the depths of the mine. It was like a roar of a demonic beast. He said, "You're courting death." Rumble. Yuan Cheng jumped out and his body was instantly filled with flames that seemed to have materialized. A long sword straightened and was about to slash Long Chen with a terrifying aura. Roar! It was a pity that just as he flew out of the mine and his feet had not even touched the ground to get close to Long Chen, a giant beast exploded from the mine. The loud roar caused all the demonic beasts in the mine to crawl and whimper. The birds and beasts shrieked. Tao Ye's huge body rushed out of the mine and directly held Yuan Cheng in its mouth. The long sword in Yuan Cheng's hand turned into a pile of scrap metal in the mouth of the Tao Tai fighting soul and fell into its stomach. "You dare to come here and talk to my master? You're overestimating yourself." The Tao Tai fighting soul spoke in human language. Then, the divine light on its body flickered and turned into a human form. Its hands were like iron pliers and they passed through Yuan Cheng's shoulders. Long Chen looked at Yuan Cheng who was held in the hands of the Tao Tai fighting soul like a little chick and smiled. His gaze fell on the other middle-aged men from the Xian Yuan clan. After a moment of silence, Long Chen said, "Let's go. Since someone forced us to come out of the mountain in advance, let's make a scene in the Waste region. However, we have to obtain the burning spirit skill of the Xian Yuan clan. This skill is the best among the secret skills that can save our lives. There are a total of 9 grades. If we can obtain the first 5 grades, our overall strength will increase greatly." Chapter 446. To yield with folded hands. Everyone was astonished at Long Chen's understanding of the burning spirit technique. Normally, the burning spirit technique that the ancient clans obtained was obtained from the Forbidden Area's passageway. It was impossible for them to come into contact with a high-grade burning spirit technique. However, after recovering from his shock, the leader of the group couldn't help but say to Long Chen, "Today's matter was caused by our Tao disciples' recklessness. Why don't you give the Xian Yuan clan some face and let it go? As for that spirit burning technique, even if you obtain it, it's impossible for you to use it on a large scale. Although this technique doesn't have any side effects compared to other secret techniques, and the battle prowess gained in a short period of time is extremely powerful, it has strict requirements." Hearing this, Long Chen's expression did not change. He only said in a deep voice, "You don't have to worry about that." Before Long Chen could finish speaking, Yuan Cheng let out another painful cry. The Tao Tai fighting soul's hand glowed with black light as it shouted at Yuan Cheng. Did you hear my master's words? Hurry up and hand over the burning spirit skill. Otherwise, I will devour you along with your soul. The Tao Tai fighting soul's eyes caused Yuan Cheng's hair to stand on end. It was as if the Tao Tai fighting soul would open its mouth and swallow him whole. The middle-aged men from the Xin Yuan clan hurriedly said, "Hold on. Although Yuan Cheng is a Taoist of our clan, his spirit-burning technique is only at the 7th grade. Moreover, this technique is passed down through a branding technique. It's impossible to pass it down through words." Longchen frowned slightly. Judging from this person's words and actions, he did not seem to be lying. The Tao Tai fighting soul snorted coldly and said to Longchen, "Since these people are useless, why should we keep them alive?" As his voice fell, an enormous tearing force descended towards the Xianyuan clan and the others. Longchen waved his hand and said, "Since we can't obtain this technique, then let's go to the Xianyuan clan and ask for it ourselves." After saying that, Longchen directly walked out of the chain mines and said indifferently, "Apart from the Xianyuan clan, kill everyone." As soon as he finished speaking, Longchen disappeared from the chain mines. When the Tao Tai fighting soul and the Yazi fighting soul heard Longchen's order, they did not hesitate to kill the instigators of the 3-star ancient clan. The few middle-aged men from the Xianyuan clan felt extremely delighted when they saw the miserable deaths of their companions. If it wasn't for the few of them instigating Yuan Cheng, how could things have developed to this extent? 2 hours later, Longchen and the 3 mythological beast fighting souls left the chain mines with 300 renwangs. Jian San, Yi Hailan, Qing Xian, and several hundred human sovereign realm cultivators stayed behind to guard the clan. All of them found out from the members of the Xianyuan clan that the various clans in an area of 50,000 kilometers had started to divide their forces once more, and their hearts couldn't help but burn with excitement. However, as they headed towards the Xianyuan clan's residence, they gradually calmed down. Everyone was filled with admiration for Longchen's decision 7 days ago. Along the way, in just 3 days, they had experienced more than 10 battles of varying sizes. Among them, there were many ancient clans that joined forces. In one of them, they encountered several 2-star ancient clans that joined forces. There were close to 2,000 human sovereign realm cultivators and tens of thousands of human kings. Faced with such a large group, Longchen and the others could only avoid them. In terms of combat power, Longchen and the few hundred human sovereign realm cultivators were not afraid of thousands of human sovereign realm cultivators. However, they were unable to fight against several 2-star ancient clans. This also made the 3 mythological beast fighting souls realize that their foundation was too weak compared to the other ancient clans. They might not be able to find a match for those of the same level, but they were helpless when faced with such a large number of opponents. Tens of thousands of human kings were enough to kill hundreds of human sovereign realm cultivators if they went crazy. I can't believe that in just 7 days, the entire waste realm has undergone such drastic changes. The Kirin fighting soul could not help but sigh. Longchen nodded slightly and said, "The division of forces in the waste realm is not clear. The 4 1-star ancient clans have countless subordinate clans. They do not know each other. 10 ancient clans in one place may belong to different forces. Once the 2 1-star ancient clans start a war, all the subordinate clans will start to become restless. A slight move in one part will affect the whole situation." Seeing the ruins of the various ancient clans, everyone knew that these 7 days would be the most intense period of the storm. The ancient clan of Star and Moon is in front of us. It is also the residence of the Xianyuan clan, the Xianyuan clan members said to Longchen. When Longchen and the others arrived outside the ancient clan of Star and Moon, the Xianyuan clan members were already standing outside. They were dressed in python robes and seemed to be surrounded by flames. Seeing this scene, Longchen was not surprised. He had walked for 3 to 4 days to get here. It was normal for the Xianyuan clan to receive the news. "Third Elder, save me!" Yuan Cheng shouted loudly. Longchen stared at the Xianyuan clan members. Before the Xianyuan clan members could speak, Long Chen waved his hand and threw Yuan Cheng and a few of the Xianyuan clan members out. The few of them were stunned. After a short moment of being stunned, they returned to the Xianyuan clan members. They did not expect Long Chen to let them go just like that. Are you afraid? Third Elder, quickly take them down. Yuan Cheng stared at Long Chen gloomily and shouted. Slap. As soon as he finished speaking, the Third Elder slapped him and sent him flying a few hundred meters away. The Third Elder said coldly, from today onwards, you are not allowed to leave the clan's forbidden area for 3 months. The members of the Xianyuan clan kept quiet. The Third Elder frowned and walked to less than 100 meters away from Long Chen with a gloomy face. He asked, why have you come here today? Spirit burning technique above the 5th grade. Long Chen's answer surprised even the 3 divine beast battle souls. When Long Chen said that he wanted to ask the Xianyuan clan for the spirit burning technique, they had guessed many ways. However, no one expected that Long Chen would actually ask for it face to face. He just said it directly. The Xianyuan clan members' gazes fell on Long Chen. The Third Elder was silent for a long time. Suddenly, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He stared at Long Chen and said, how do you know that I will definitely give you the spirit burning technique? It's better to have one more friend than one more enemy, Long Chen replied. The Third Elder was stunned. Then, he looked deeply at Long Chen. A beam of spiritual light streaked across his forehead and landed on Long Chen. Long Chen put it away. He nodded slightly and cupped his fists to leave. The Third Elder looked at Long Chen's back as he left. His eyes flickered. In the end, he shook his head and sighed, compared to this person, our Tao disciple is just like a child. However, there were some people who were puzzled. After all, the spirit burning technique was a secret of the Bright Moon Ancient clan. However, in less than 100 breaths of time since Long Chen's arrival, the Third Elder actually gave up the spirit burning technique above the 5th grade. Chapter 447. If you don't pledge your allegiance, your clan will be exterminated after Long Chen and the others left. Even the 3 mythical beast war souls did not expect the trip to be so smooth. Long Chen was not surprised. At this moment, the 1-star ancient clans were on guard against each other and were fighting everywhere. The Xianyuan clan gave him the spirit burning technique not because of Long Chen's combat power, but because of his relationship with the Alchemist Guild and Dark Star. No clan in the Waste region dared to provoke these 2 forces. Furthermore, even if outsiders obtained the spirit burning technique, it was impossible for them to use it on a large scale. Using this item to stabilize Long Chen's relationship with the Alchemist Guild and Dark Star was the intention of the Xianyuan clan's elder. After leaving the Xianyuan clan's encampment, Long Chen used his soul to forcibly imprint many copies of the spirit burning technique and used his heavenly flame to grant several hundred people the right to use it. Although this method was somewhat unconventional, it was enough for them to use the spirit burning technique once. After that, Long Chen and the others did not follow the instructions. Instead, they continued to travel east. Don't fight with the other ancient clans on this trip. However, if you encounter an ancient clan with good potential, you can recruit them. Long Chen said to the 3 mythical beast war souls. The 3 of them nodded heavily. During this time, they had completely understood the importance of numbers. If they wanted the Zhangji clan to grow, their first task was to increase their numbers. Under Long Chen's lead, the hundreds of people traveled east for 10 days. During this time, Long Chen and the others rescued 3 1-star ancient clans that were about to be exterminated and suppressed 2 2-star ancient clans that came to plunder. The number of people increased to 1,500. However, Long Chen did not stop. Instead, he sped up. After traveling for 5 days, an old man with a face full of wrinkles walked to Long Chen's side and asked respectfully, "Clan leader, are you going to the Dongwang clan?" Long Chen glanced at the old man and nodded. This old man's clan was about to be exterminated, but Long Chen and the others saved him. However, there were still less than 300 people left in his clan. The place he was looking for was the Dongwon clan. The Dongwon clan was the #1 ancient clan among the 2-star ancient clans in the Waste region. His clan was located in the east of the wasteland, where the sun rose. This clan is extremely well versed in the art of battle formations. They are also the leader of the 2-star ancient clans. Ever since the wasteland fell into chaos, the 1-star ancient clan, the 9 Suns ancient clan, the Xianyuan ancient clan, and even the Swordsman clan sent people here. Upon hearing this, Longchen frowned and said, "Did no one from the Bright Moon ancient clan come? And this race still hasn't taken a stand?" The old man nodded. He seemed to understand this matter quite well. The corners of Longchen's mouth curled into a smile, and he sped up. A day later, he and the others arrived at the Dongwon clan. As soon as they arrived, Longchen and the 3 divine beast battle souls were shocked. There were 7 formation platforms on the 7 mountain peaks surrounding the clan. There were no less than 1,000 human kings on the platforms. The arrival of Longchen and the others seemed to have been noticed by the people of this clan. There is a reason why the East Royal clan was recruited by all the overlords at the same time. In the past 7 days, almost all the clans have suffered more or less. And this clan didn't even send out their human sovereign experts. The Kirin woman couldn't help but glance at Longchen and the others. Longchen was about to speak, but the voice-transmitting talisman at his waist vibrated rapidly. Then, he moved his fingertips and released the voice from the voice-transmitting talisman. When everyone heard the voice coming from inside, their faces immediately turned ashen. The Bright Moon clan had struck again. In the chain mines, the Bright Moon ancient clan had surrounded the Tsangji clan. There were 3 half-sane experts, 3 half-sane experts. When the people behind Longchen heard this, they looked at each other in dismay. A look of horror flashed in their eyes. In this battle of the Waste Domain, the half-saint realm was enough to determine the outcome of the battle. This was enough to show that the Bright Moon ancient clan hated Longchen and the others to the core. In order to kill them, they had sent out 3 half-sane experts. A murderous look flashed in Longchen's eyes. However, he put away the voice-transmitting talisman and said in a deep voice, "Subdue the East Royal clan within 3 days. It will take a half-saint expert 20 days to break the formation that I set up." Longchen had spent almost all of his 7 days on the smelting formation. He had also connected the Thunder Fire clan's protective formation to the foundation stones under the 9 mines with hundreds of formations. He had even set up the formation eye directly on a few supreme-grade spirit veins, with all kinds of methods. Unless the 2 half-saint experts had extremely high attainments, it was impossible to break the formation in a short time. Moreover, even if they turned back this time, if they clashed with the 2 half-saints of the Bright Moon ancient clan, they would absolutely not gain the slightest advantage. However, if they subdued the East Royal clan, it would be completely different. Longchen's originally calm thoughts were completely disrupted by the voice-transmitting talisman. He walked directly toward the East Royal clan alone. The 3 mythological beast-fighting souls and the rest of the people were about to follow him, but they were stopped by his shout. In the next moment, Longchen's figure disappeared into the mountain range. When Longchen walked into the mountain range, countless human kings on the formation platforms on the 7 peaks began to activate the formation. The entire mountain range was suddenly filled with murderous intent. However, Longchen seemed to have disappeared. There was no way to attack him. In less than 100 breaths, Longchen appeared again. However, at this time, the formation platforms on the 7 peaks had no power at all. Even the protective halo had completely disappeared. Longchen looked from afar and said in a cold voice, "Ask your clan leader to come out and see me." On the 7 formation platforms, the human kings' faces changed dramatically. Without the protection of the formation, it was impossible for them to fight against a large number of human emperors. Everyone's eyes fell on Longchen in unison. In the past, with the 7 formation platforms, even a team of 1-star human emperors did not dare to rashly step into the mountain range. However, Longchen took a different approach. He stepped into the mountain range alone and broke through the core of the formation, connecting the 7 battle platforms at an astonishing speed. I didn't expect that there would be someone other than my East Royal clan who has such an understanding of formations. However, breaking the 7 peaks killing formation in 100 breaths, in a flash, brilliant figures passed through the mountain range and came toward Long Chen and the others. Before they appeared, their voices had already reached them. When his voice fell, more than a dozen human emperors had already arrived in front of Long Chen and the others. Illusory body-shifting formation? Interesting, Long Chen said. When the human emperors heard this, they looked at Long Chen with more and more astonishment in their eyes. The leader of the group, a man whose face was covered with formation patterns, asked Long Chen, "Your Excellency knows so much about formations. If it were in the past, I would definitely invite you into the clan for a chat. However, today, please leave." Unfortunately, Long Chen did not move at all. Instead, he stared at the group of people and said, "I want your clan to submit to me. I can make your battle formation reach unprecedented heights." The faces of the human emperors suddenly turned cold. They said, "Your Excellency is too arrogant. Even when several one-star ancient clans came, our clan has never yielded. What makes you think you can do that?" Chapter 448. Formation of Sealing Extermination of the Clan. When Long Chen finished speaking, the faces of the Donghuang clan members turned cold. The people behind Long Chen kept quiet. They had joined Long Chen's team, but they had never seen Long Chen like this. Now that Long Chen was standing in front of them, everyone was terrified, especially his will that could not be defied. Even the Renwangs could not help but lower their heads. The leader of the Donghuang clan sneered. He stared at Long Chen and said, "You want to exterminate the Donghuang clan with just the people behind you? You must be dreaming." Long Chen's eyes did not fall on the dozen people from the Donghuang clan. Instead, they fell on the many mountains behind them and the 7 matrix platforms. "Remember what I said today. You only have 2 days. On the 3rd day, I will exterminate your clan." As Long Chen finished speaking, the brilliance in his right hand moved and blasted the figures of more than a dozen people from the Donghuang clan away. In the main hall of the Donghuang clan, many of the higher-ups looked gloomy. One of the elders said coldly, "This person is so arrogant and boastful. What are we waiting for? Let's just exterminate him." The middle-aged man, whose face was covered with matrix runes, looked into the distance and frowned. "You should have heard of Long Chen. This person rose like a comet in the waste domain. The chaos in the waste domain and the Haoyue ancient clan being targeted are all related to him. Maybe he is not lying." The middle-aged man seemed to be thinking about something, but he could not figure out how Long Chen could exterminate the Donghuang clan. However, he did not listen to the elder's words and really led his people to rush out of the clan to fight Long Chen and the others head-on. Long Chen had the combat strength of a half-step saint and had many Renwangs behind him. Although the Donghuang clan had the upper hand, they would have to pay a price if they fought head-on. Moreover, at this moment, the Donghuang clan was deep inside the clan. Relying on the many matrices here, the one-star ancient clans were not willing to fight them head-on. The Donghuang clan chose to wait and see. They immediately activated the protective formation. It was as if Long Chen and the others did not exist in the outside world. They had long forgotten about Long Chen's words. In the outside world, the people behind Long Chen looked at each other. Finally, someone stood out and said to Long Chen, "This place may seem no different from an ordinary ancient clan, but it is filled with killing formations. This is especially true for the 7 formation platforms of this clan. They are the foundation of this clan." The old man spoke word by word, as if he was very familiar with this place. Long Chen stared at the 7 platforms and said to the old man, "If I'm not wrong, you used to be a vassal of this clan, right?" The old man sighed and nodded slightly. The Donghuang clan once had the opportunity to become a one-star ancient clan, but they failed in the end. Now, the Donghuang clan is far from its former glory. All they want is to lead their clansmen to survive. The old man replied. "How long has it been since the 7 battle platforms were opened?" "Every time a few are opened, Longchen said as he looked at them with his sword in his hand. The old man did not know that if he had not just checked the 7 mountain peaks, even Longchen would not have dared to say that he could take down the Dongwang clan within 3 days. The Dongwang clan was ranked at the top of the 2-star ancient clans, which was enough to show their strength. In fact, before Longchen came here, he had used his divine thought to imprint the burning spirit skill on someone he trusted to cultivate it. That was why he had chosen to come here. Longchen's sword's scabbard emitted streams of origin source energy and drew countless complicated patterns in the air. Then, the patterns turned into a long knife and flew into one of the battle platforms of the mountain peaks. Hiss! When the old man saw Longchen's action, he was stunned and looked into the distance. After the long knife formed by the complicated patterns entered the mountain peak, the entire mountain peak shook violently. Rays of light shot out tens of thousands of feet. The 3 mythical beast fighting souls and many others looked over, their faces full of shock. The battle platform on the mountain peak suddenly turned blue. Black formation patterns rose and fell one after another, as if countless thunderbolts were covering it. Finally, all the patterns shone and condensed into an illusory long knife 1,000 meters above the mountain peak. The moment the long knife appeared, the entire Dongwang clan seemed to be bathed in the light. In an instant, the entire land was filled with killing intent. However, the long knife turned back and pointed straight at the Dongwang clan from the sky. Within the Dongwang clan, many people looked at each other, their faces full of confusion. However, one by one, they began to kneel on the ground in reverence and worship the long knife. Only the elders in the conference hall rushed out and stood on one of the mountain peaks after 10 breaths. Their faces were filled with horror, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. The middle-aged clan leader, whose face was full of formation patterns, stared at the blade. Then, his eyes followed the handle of the knife and looked at Longchen. "It's you. It's you who opened our clan's sealing formation. How did you do it?" The middle-aged man shouted. Longchen stared at the man. His fingertips moved slightly in the air, and the long knife shadow in the sky began to move as if it was his own arm. 7 mountains, each of them can release the power of the saint state. It's really ingenious, Longchen muttered to himself. Without waiting for the Dongwang clan to speak, he said again, "I know your clan is afraid. It's just the moon seed. I can take out all the moon seeds in your clan and not take them out. I can also restore your clan to its former glory and carry forward the path of formations." As soon as he finished speaking, Longchen paused. Then, he suddenly changed the topic and said coldly, "Of course, your clan can continue to do so, but I don't have time to waste with you." As soon as Longchen finished speaking, the long sword in his hand began to draw in the air again. Then, one by one, the patterns rushed out again. On the remaining 6 mountains, divine light rushed out again. It was similar to the shape of the long knife just now, and it emitted a powerful force. "Sir, please wait. Give me a day to think about it." The people of the Dongwang clan were completely shaken. They did not know if Longchen was telling the truth. However, the sealing formations in the 7 mountains were all opened by Longchen. It made them tremble in fear. The clan leader of the Dongwang clan tried to communicate with one of them, but he realized that he could not move it at all. He could not help but feel sad. The 7 sealing formations were the foundation of his clan, but in reality, he could only open 2 of them. However, Longchen, an outsider, could open 7 of them with a wave of his hand. Chapter 449. A Common Enemy. Longchen didn't know about the existence of the sealing formation beforehand, but when he cut off the connection between the many human kings on the formation platform and the formation, he discovered the secret within. With his powerful divine will and his understanding of array formations, not only did he manage to break the weak connection within the array formation, but he also managed to obtain everything within the array formation eye. Now, he could control the sealing formations at will. However, Longchen also discovered that the 7 sealing formations had actually decayed to an extreme state. Time flew by. Long Chen knew that the people of this clan would definitely compromise. Previously, he had heard that apart from the Bright Moon Ancient Clan, the other three forces of the four great one-star ancient clans had extended an olive branch to this clan. Today, when he tried to sound them out, the people of this clan did not reply. Thus, he knew that his guess should be correct. This race had been planted with the moon seed. Long Chen could not help but shake his head slightly. At this moment, it seemed that the Bright Moon Ancient Clan had become the target of public criticism, but in fact, the strength of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan was absolutely not to be underestimated. At that moment, the Dongwang clan was in chaos. They were terrified that Long Chen could control the 7 sealing formations, but they were also terrified of the moon seed in their bodies. If Long Chen failed to remove the moon seed, what awaited them would be the wrath of the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. Clan leader, do you think we can trust this person's words? Can he really remove the moon seed? An elder's face was gloomy. In fact, the Dongwang clan's hatred for the Yuhaoyue ancient clan was no less than Long Chen's. This clan originally had hopes of becoming a one-star ancient clan, but 70% of the reason for their failure was the Bright Moon Ancient Clan. The clan head released a long breath and looked at the 7 divine lights in the sky. He said helplessly, "Do we still have a choice? Tomorrow, gather all the sovereign personages and above in the clan and follow me out of the ritual array. If this person can remove the moon seed, then there's still room for negotiation. If he can't remove it, then we can only fight to the death. Otherwise, the Bright Moon Ancient Clan can use the moon seed to completely annihilate the backbone of our clan." Everyone's faces were gloomy and uncertain. They did not sleep for the entire night. This continued until the next day. The mighty group walked out of the matrix towards the pressure of the divine light in the sky and came before Long Chen and the others. Everyone looked at Long Chen and the team behind him with a wary expression. Seeing the crowd walk out, the 3 divine beast war souls and the many human sovereigns behind them were also on alert. Their eyes revealed a hint of surprise. Along the way, they had seen many 2-star ancient clans. Although many 2-star ancient clans were known as 2-star ancient clans, they were actually inferior to 3-star ancient clans. Most of the ordinary 2-star renhuangs of the ancient clan were only in the top 3 levels. However, apart from the human kings, the Dongwang clan had about 3,000 human emperors. Among them, half of them had powerful auras that had already surpassed the 3rd level of the human emperor realm. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock, but there was also a trace of excitement. If Long Chen took this clan under his command, then their days of silence would come to an end. Long Chen stared at the leading human emperors of the Dongwang clan and said in a deep voice, "If you are ready, I can remove the moon seed in your clan now." Everyone had just stood up when they heard Long Chen's words. The leading human emperors of the Dongwang clan looked at each other. The clan leader frowned and stared at Long Chen. Then, he said in a deep voice, "The moon seed of my clan was personally planted by a saint of the Haoyu ancient clan. It is far more powerful than the moon seeds in other ancient clans. Are you sure you can remove it?" Long Chen's lips curled into a faint smile as if he did not hear this person's words. However, a crystal ball of light appeared above his right hand. Inside it, a new moon was undulating. This ball of light was refined with the essence of the moon god and contained many formations. Even the Haoyu ancient clan did not expect Long Chen to be able to use the essence of the moon god to create this object. Hiss. As soon as this object appeared, nearly 60% of the human emperors of the Dongwang clan broke out in a cold sweat. They half squatted on the ground as if they were enduring great pain. Clang, the remaining 40% of the human emperors of the Dongwang clan suddenly shone with divine light. Their faces were filled with murderous intent as they stared at Long Chen. "This crystal belongs to the Haoyu ancient clan," one of the elders said, his voice full of resentment. Swords and sabers were drawn, and the 2 sides were about to fight to the death. "Wait!" The clan leader of the Dongwang clan, whose face was covered with formation patterns, stood up while enduring the intense pain. As he roared, the people of the Dongwang clan behind him stopped what they were doing. Pfft. However, in the next moment, he fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, 60% of the people of the Dongwon clan did the same. However, a strange scene occurred. Rays of moonlight flew out from the bodies of the human emperors and human kings in front of Long Chen and the people of the Dongwon clan. Like a meteor shower, they rushed toward the crystal in Long Chen's hand. "It's true, it's true. This person is stripping the moon seed from our bodies. After so many years, our clan is finally free. The Haoyu ancient clan is irreconcilable." Loud shouts rang out one after another, and even the clouds in the sky were shattered. The people of the Dongwon clan were all cheering. Long Chen looked at the moon seed and the moon god essence and nodded. As he helped these people get rid of the moon seed, he also took away all the pure power in the moon seed. The moon seed has been removed. "Can you all follow me?" Long Chen said as he stared at the people of the Dongwon clan. After a short moment of excitement, the people of the Dongwon clan fell silent. Their eyes fell on the middle-aged clan leader. The clan leader slowly straightened his back and stared at Long Chen with his burning eyes. After a long while, he took a deep breath and bowed deeply to Long Chen to greet him. Following his action, the people of the Dongwon clan also bowed in unison. The scene was extremely shocking. "Our clan will never forget the kindness you have shown us today. However, if you want us to follow you, I have a condition," the middle-aged clan leader said with a burning gaze. Long Chen nodded and motioned for him to continue. "I want you to swear a blood oath with me to destroy the Haoyu ancient clan together," the clan leader of the Dongwon clan said. "Destroy the Haoyu ancient clan together. Destroy the Haoyu ancient clan together." The people of the Dongwon clan shouted one after another and resounded in the sky. Long Chen sneered and said coldly, "Don't worry, the Haoyu ancient clan's good days have come to an end." The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Blood flowed from their fingertips as they swore. When the three divine beast fighting souls saw that the Dongwon clan had surrendered, they were excited and full of fighting spirit. From today onward, they would have the strength to fight the Dongwon clan. With the help of this clan, they would no longer have to endure. After some instructions, the powerhouses of the Dongwon clan followed Long Chen and left for the Zhangji clan. Chapter 450. The Battle of Vengeance. It would be too much of a waste to leave the 7 mountains behind. Many people from the Dongwon clan nodded in agreement. These 7 mountains contained the foundation of his clan. The 7 types of ceiling formations were the foundation of his clan. Later on, they were repaired by a half-step saint expert, which was why they were so powerful. However, the semi-sage experts of the other clans had all perished at the hands of the Bright Moon Ancient clan. It was precisely because of this that the Dongwon clan was unable to become a 1-star ancient clan. I'm ashamed to say this, but these 7 ceiling formations were left behind by our ancestors. They're extremely damaged, and our clan has gradually lost the ability to control them. On the other hand, you can control them with a wave of your hand. The clan leader of the Dongwon clan was helpless. His clan had always been good at formations, but as time passed, there were fewer and fewer people in the clan who knew about formations. The inheritance of formations was also gradually declining. Take this ceiling formation away. I've said it before. I'll restore your clan to its former glory. Long Chen's figure suddenly disappeared as soon as he finished speaking. He stood in the middle of the 7 mountains, and streams of earth origin energy and metal origin energy gushed out from his hands. Rumble! The mountain range was vast and mighty, and for a moment, the earth was shaking. Rays of golden light blossomed, and the origin of earth spread out like a tide. The 7 mountains actually rose from the ground. The ground beneath the 7 peaks was actually dragged along by Long Chen's origin energy and then enveloped by it. In the end, it disappeared from above him. The grand scene stunned everyone on the spot, but they still didn't know how Long Chen did it. In fact, Long Chen had only moved the 7 sealed lands into the Dragon Palace. After that, Long Chen and the others didn't stay any longer and quickly returned to the Zhangji clan. 2 half-saints and many Renhuangs. There are so many people from the Bright Moon Ancient clan. How can we repel them? The Karen woman whispered to Long Chen. Long Chen nodded and said, "Give this battle matrix to the cultivators above the Rumhuang level. Let them comprehend it on their way back. It won't be difficult for two half-saints to defeat them." After the Karen woman gave the soul brand to the many Renhuangs of the Donghuang clan, the clan members all looked surprised and were even more in awe of Long Chen. Using the spirit brand to directly inherit the battle formation, the requirement for this team's spirit power was extremely high. This battle matrix has reached the saint tier. How is this possible? An elder of the Donghuang clan exclaimed as he suddenly opened his eyes. The Donghuang clan had an extremely high level of attainment in the art of battle formations. However, the art of battle formations had withered. It was likely that even the great one-star ancient clans did not have a saint-level battle formation. However, Long Chen was able to impart the knowledge directly to each of them with his divine soul imprint. There's also this secret skill. This is the Burning Spirit secret skill above the 5th rank. It's a secret skill of the Xianyuan clan. The clan leader of the Donghuang clan stared at Long Chen in shock. Long Chen did not turn his head and said, "You can fuse with it now. After that, I will find a way to give you part of the flame power that can mobilize this thing." You mean that this burning spirit technique can be used by all of us?" The clan leader of the Donghuang clan could not believe it. There were very few people who could use the burning spirit technique. He had also heard of the restrictions. Even a few Taoists of his clan had obtained this technique from the forbidden area of the Xianyuan clan. However, he had never thought that this technique could be used on such a large scale. Such a powerful battle matrix, and the large-scale use of the burning spirit technique, the Donghuang clan looked at Long Chen's back with a touch of seriousness. Perhaps the young man in front of them really had the potential to trample the waste realm. The people of the Donghuang clan were very excited. The two things that Long Chen had given them were very tempting to them. They took turns to perch on the flying demonic beasts. As they moved forward, they cultivated the two techniques. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. Looking from afar, they could already see the shadow of the chain of mines. However, at this moment, the chain of mines was very dilapidated. It was almost like an endless mound of earth, only in the middle was a light screen that was still flickering. Countless attacks were constantly falling from the light screen. There were more than 1,000 people of the Bright Moon Ancient clan who were constantly bombarding it. Long Chen's face was gloomy, and he led the group to increase their speed again. The group of people of the Bright Moon Ancient clan soon discovered Long Chen's huge team and stopped attacking the light screen. "That's the clan leader of the Donghuang clan? There's also Long Chen." A skinny, bamboo-like old woman said in a voice that sounded like the grinding of nails. "I knew that Long Chen would definitely come back. But what's the matter with the Donghuang clan?" Another old man in a brocade robe said in a deep voice, "Isn't his clan a spy left here by our clan? Why is he traveling with Long Chen?" As the two spoke, they exuded an extremely terrifying aura. When their attacks landed on the light screen, they splashed out tsunami-like ripples. Many people in the formation were in great pain. Long Chen and the 3 war souls of the Donghuang clan arrived. When they saw the 2 semi-saints in the Bright Moon Ancient clan, the people of the Donghuang clan were shocked. The clan leader even said in a hoarse voice, "Bright Moon Ancient clan, today, we will settle the old and new grudges together." In the past, although the Bright Moon Ancient clan rarely interfered with the internal affairs of the Donghuang clan, they secretly exploited the clan. In particular, they destroyed the Donghuang clan's hope of becoming a 1-star ancient clan and planted the moon seed. This was a shame that the clan would never forget. When Long Chen saw the Donghuang clan's behavior, although there was a murderous intent in his eyes, he did not immediately order everyone to attack. Does the Donghuang clan want to die? How dare you speak to the Bright Moon Ancient clan like this? Don't forget your identity. The 2 semi-saints of the Bright Moon Ancient clan shouted coldly. The veins on the faces of the people of the Donghuang clan were bulging, and divine light could not help but burst out from their bodies. They took a deep breath and said to Long Chen, "Please let the Donghuang clan deal with this group of people." Today, even if we have to pay the price in blood, we will use their blood to wash away the shame of our clan. I want to use the lives of these two semi-saints to tell the whole Waste Realm that the Donghuang clan will always be the enemy of the Bright Moon Ancient clan. Longchen frowned slightly and looked at the appearance of this person. After a long while, he sighed and nodded. The Renhuangs of the Donghuang clan were fighting against the two semi-saints and the other members of the Bright Moon Ancient clan. If they used the battle formation in the secret, they could fight, but casualties were inevitable. After all, the semi-saint realm was not something that the Renhuangs could compare with. Seeing that Longchen had agreed, the Renhuangs of the Donghuang clan leaped out. Everyone's eyes were filled with murderous intent. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.